Okay, I am live. Can everybody hear me? I think we're good to go. Is the mic working? See some people on here. Hello, Jake Owens. Welcome, welcome. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm good. Okay, great, great. We'll get started in a few minutes here. I just want to make sure everything's working. Okay. Patrick Furtado, I like that name. Welcome. Mr. Redhead Productions. All right. Welcome, welcome. Mr. Gov. Great. I'm loud and clear. Good, good. Very cool. I just realized I was going to post something on Twitter to kind of let people know that I was live. And then I realized, oh shit, I already shut down my Twitter. Yep, the Twitter is gone. The Twitter is gone. Yeah, how's everybody doing? How was everybody's New Year? How was everybody's New Year? Matt Chapman, nope, you're right on time. Just getting started. Yep. Oh, man. Did everybody have a nice New Year's? Yes, RIP my Twitter. Gone but not forgotten. Won but not forgotten. That's an old Spoonie reference for anybody who's ever followed the history of that dude. I'm seeing some people jumping on. I think this stream is the first time I've ever used YouTube comments or like post a public comment to lead people to my videos. Maybe I should have done that instead of going on Twitter in the first place. Clark Herman, welcome. I got drunk and watched all those crappy New Year's shows. Horrible. I've stopped watching New Year's shows a couple years ago, and I think I'm better off for it. Last year, I was over at a friend's house, and we watched Moulin Rouge. And then right after the movie was over, we watched The Ball Drop, and that was it. And I was like, you know what? That was actually better. And not that Moulin Rouge is like my favorite movie or anything, but I'd rather watch a movie than watch those crappy New Year's shows. And New Year's Eve this year, I was over at my sister's house. It was just me, her husband, and me. And we watched Hot Fuzz, which is one of my favorite comedies of all time. And we watched Infinity War, which is probably the best MCU film. If I had to, it's either that or Winter Soldier for me. So, and we timed it so that when Thanos snaps his fingers at the end of the movie, that's midnight. And so that was how we rang in the new year. And I'm like, you know what? I was okay with that. Too much chocolate and bear? I think you mean beer, but too much. I mean, there's no such thing as too much beer, which is the most Irish thing I've ever said. Slamboree 94 is my favorite WCW pay-per-view. What's yours? God, I have to think about it. WCW wasn't known for putting on strong pay-per-views. They were more about... Their biggest appeal was the television show, Nitro. That was their major thing. But favorite TV... or favorite pay-per-view in WCW history, I would say... I mean, Slamboree 94 is a pretty good one. It's rough. No, see, nothing jumps out at me instantly. I mean, there's some great moments. Like Bash to the Beach 96 has like a really great moment. obviously, but I don't know if that makes it my favorite pay-per-view. It's really hard to say, but one that I'll say this one because I have like childhood attachment to it. Halloween Havoc '93. That was one that I watched, and I saw that Vader Cactus match, and it was at the time the most violent match I had ever seen. I didn't know wrestling could be that violent, and it was pretty remarkable. Isn't Spoonie like a hermit who does nothing but complain on Twitter now? Yeah, he is. Spoonie, Noah Antweiler, has become like the ultimate example of what not to do if you're a content creator online. He's like everything you shouldn't do, that guy has done. And yeah, he's basically just pissed his entire life away. But his career and his personal life. I unfortunately subjected myself to Wonder Woman 84. Yikes. I heard it was bad. My sister, I didn't see it personally, but my sister sent me 2 sentences after she saw it. 1, this movie is trash. And 2, Wonder Woman is a rapist. And that was all she said. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting direction to take that movie in, but okay. 94 had some really good moments. It was kind of a down year for the business as a whole because they, the excitement of the 80s was kind of waning by that point, and there were also like the steroid scandals and various other things going on. But 94, there was some pretty good stuff going on there. Oh, man. So we'll give it a few more minutes. I'll give people a chance to get on if they want to ask questions. Basically, this live stream will be straight up question and answers. Just ask me anything you want because I'm going away after this. I swear that this is the end. Because originally, I planned for my last live stream to be the last one, but I was once again copyright struck by YouTube, which is so inconsistent how they do it and which streams they strike and which ones they don't. And I was like, you know what? And at first, I was like super pissed off about it. I was like, you know what? I am not going to let them shit on my farewell to the platform. So fuck those guys. I am going to I am going to go out on my own terms here. So we're going to be doing a Q&A. They can't strike that. And once again, fuck YouTube on my way out. And if they want to strike me for that, they can go right ahead. Fuck them. But I'm going to have fun on my way out. Wrestling fans that aren't fans of Jeff Hardy think he's a show-off. That's kind of his gimmick, isn't it? To be a show-off? That's kind of how he operates, right? Patrick versus YouTube at WrestleMania. Oh god, that would be a squash match. They'd kill me. They've got way more money than I do, and plenty of people working for them. The outside interference would be insane. Why are you leaving YouTube? I explained it in the last stream, but in case you didn't see it, there were 3 reasons. 1, my interest in the WWE is at its absolute lowest that it's ever been, and it's hard to maintain excitement for producing content for a wrestling channel when you straight up do not want to watch the largest wrestling promotion in the world. And again, yes, there's other wrestling out there. There's AEW, there's New Japan. Yes, I'm fully aware of that, but it's hard to, like, when you're cutting out WWE from the equation, it's very hard to find enough material to talk about. Because WWE, it's, you know, whether we like it or not, it's the biggest wrestling company in the world, and they produce the most content. And if you're ignoring all that content, then you're leaving yourself kind of shorthanded with what you can make videos about. And 2, I'm pissed off at YouTube, and they've been frustrating the holy hell out of me, and I've stands all that I can take, and I can't stands no more, so fuck them. And 3, the overall, like, internet experience has become very, very negative, and that's social media, that's message boards, that's even here on YouTube. It's just become kind of a mess, and I think, in 2020, we all spent a lot more time looking at our screens, because what else are we going to do? But I'm going to try and, like, branch out a little bit and find other hobbies besides getting involved in the internet. So I'm going to work on a lot of, like, mental and emotional self-improvement in 2021. That's my goal. So that's why I will be leaving YouTube. Now, as I said in that stream, this won't be the last time you see me. Like, when Godzilla vs. Kong comes out, I'm sure I'll have something to say about it. When WrestleMania rolls around, I'm sure I'll have something to say. You'll see me again. It just won't be an every week deal, or even like you might go 2 or 3 months without me making a video, and then all of a sudden I pop up out of nowhere. So I'm working the Brock Lesnar schedule. So there's that. YouTube would have to go over because you're on your way out. Yep, exactly. That's how it works. Did you think the Matt Jeff feud in 2009 sucked, or did you think it could have been better? I barely remember it, to be honest with you. I remember the match they had at WrestleMania, and it wasn't a bad match. I don't remember a lot of that feud. So I guess it could have been better, because if it happened and I don't remember it, then it probably didn't leave much of an impression on me. In honor of a bitter Bret Hart, which Canadian beer do you prefer, Molson or Labatt? I don't think I've ever had Labatt, so I guess Molson by default. But I guess now's a good enough time. We're almost 10 after the hour. Okay, 7 after the hour. All right, we can go ahead and get started. So ask me any questions you want. Go for it. You have free range, and there's no time limit on this, so we'll go as long as I feel comfortable going. You're getting buried worse than NXT stars moving up to the main roster. It's, oh, God. It's not even that YouTube's burying me, because people have asked me if I was shadow banned, and I don't know if I was. I doubt it, because they didn't demonetize me, but it's like, guys, I'm not, like, trying to be a troublemaker here, but you're constantly, like, butt-fucking me, and I don't like it. I didn't know of the Hogan Slaughter Desert Storm match until you talked about it on your last stream, and you said it's all-out brawl, and it's way better than the Mania 7 match. And I like the Mania 7 match. I think the Mania 7 match is solid, but I think the Desert Storm match is better. And probably, you know, if they were going to stretch out Sergeant Slaughter's deal with Hogan all the way to SummerSlam, it probably should have been the SummerSlam main event. Will you do a Wrestle Kingdom 15 review when it comes out? Probably not. Most likely not. I have ordered the show, though. I've ordered it on the Fight app, and I'm ready to watch it, but you probably won't be getting a review from me. On the Hart Family DVD, it has Bret and Owen against the Steiners at a house show from '94. Do you know of that DVD and that match? I do, yeah. The match was pretty good, if I recall, and yeah, this must have been... the match must have been in, like, January, like, right before Owen turned, I would think. King Kong 1933, black and white or colorized version. I've never seen the colorized version. So black and white all the way. To me, I prefer, if it was made in black and white, I prefer to see it in black and white, as it was the way God intended. Its original version is what I typically prefer. I didn't even know there was a colorized version of King Kong, to be honest with you. Not a clue. Somebody was once telling me that he saw a colorized version of Frankenstein, and that just broke my heart, because that's a movie that absolutely needs to be seen in black and white. At this point, Patrick, you've earned that Lesnar schedule. How was your New Year? It was very good. It was fun. I was at a party with 2 other people, so it wasn't much, but we had drinks, we had food, and we watched movies. It was great. Yeah, I heard the New Year shows this year were terrible. I heard they were terrible. I would like the WWE to make a DVD on the British Bulldog. They can make, like, a documentary on him for sure. It'd be great to see. How will you react if the Giants make the playoffs? I will cheer, but I'll also laugh, because a 6-10 team should not make the playoffs. The fact that they're 5-10 now and still have a shot to get in really tells you how bad the NFC East is this year. Then if you look at the AFC, we've got 10-5 teams that are fighting tooth and nail to get into the playoffs still. And it's like, this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Sorry to tell you then, Toho is trying to colorize Godzilla 1954. Well, I mean, it's their movie. They can do what they want with it, but you know, as long as I can still see the black and white version, that's, you know, that's my version. Godzilla is a movie that should absolutely be in black and white. There's no reason to colorize that movie. It loses a lot if you colorize it. The only problem about a British Bulldog DVD is it would have some of the same matches as on Bret and Owens and the Hart Family DVDs. Yeah, I mean, that's... When you look at, like, the histories of Bret Hart, Owen Hart, and the Hart Family, that covers a lot of the Bulldog's career. NFC least, that's them. That is them, for sure. I think, if you wanted my honest opinion, I think the Cowboys are going to win it. because I don't see Washington winning tomorrow, even if they are against the Eagles, given their whole quarterback situation. And I think the Cowboys are going to beat us because we look incompetent right now. We had a brief run there where we looked like we were getting our shit together, and then it all fell apart. But I just don't. I don't see it. How funny would it be if the Giants made the playoffs at 6-10 and then won the Super Bowl? How like fucking pathetic would that be? That would be, oh my god, that would be the most 2020 thing ever. It's like as shitty as last year was, like of course a 6-10 team won the Super Bowl. That would be just ridiculous. I would almost be ashamed of that. Like seriously, I'm not even kidding. Oh, and by the way, I know I said this before, but I want to make this clear too. On the channel, I am not removing any of my videos. So if you want to go back and watch my old videos, you are free to do so. You've got 10 and a half years worth of material to go over. Would a DVD on JBL possibly be made or no because of all the notorious things about him backstage? Well, cover all the notorious things. Right. Do a DVD or a documentary and cover all that stuff and have him respond to it. Have you ever seen the infamous Godzilla? I saw it this year, actually. I was when I was doing my weekly movie and television reviews. That was one of the things I reviewed. I finally saw it. What were you doing when you heard about Brody Lee's death? I was working out at home. It was the day after Christmas, and I was doing my first workout after the holiday. And I just got a phone call from somebody telling me what had happened. They had footage of real dead bodies in that movie. Yeah, they did. Well, you got to have that World War II imagery into the film, for sure. The Giants might make the playoffs and the Patriots didn't. It's pretty funny. Fernando, welcome. Welcome aboard. On BSlim81, yeah, welcome. Welcome to you as well. Oh man, this kind of reminds me of like the old, well, not old, but the Saturday Night's Main Events Clash of Champions streams I did. Those basically turned into question and answers videos. The way those were set up. But yeah, I did all of those. Never once got a copyright strike. Not once. Not one of them. Now that I've opened my mouth, YouTube's going to remove every single one of them. Yeah, YouTube doesn't like me and I don't like them very much, so it's... Fuck them. Now, here's the thing. YouTube doesn't give a shit about me because I'm not, like, a huge YouTuber, so they don't care. But that makes it really hard whenever I do... Like the big one was when they... Because I have a warning on my channel because of the Coliseum video live stream that I did, which they claimed was false advertising. And I was like, I appealed it because I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what am I false advertising exactly? And I never heard back from anybody and they denied the appeal. So that's the type of shit because I'm a low-level piece of shit. They don't feel the need to, like, address any of my concerns or, you know, whatever. Glad 2020 is over? Yeah, I sure am, man. Although, in a way, it's actually not over because all this COVID shit is still going on. So it's not like the year has changed or anything. RoboCop or Terminator? I'm one of the few who sides with RoboCop. I guess I like Terminator more, but both are really cool. Yeah, the Tully Magnum TA match is really, really good. Favorite match in Starrcade history? All of your live streams turned into Q&As, really. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But that's the benefit of having the live chat just right here in front of me. High Tide C22, you're a long time. You've been around the channel almost since day one, haven't you? High Tide. Honestly, dude, thank you for your content. Every time I clicked on your newest video, I was never disappointed, and I've been watching since top 15 wrestling cliches, and that bugged the hell out of me, so thanks. I thank you so much, High Tide. Yeah, I knew you've been around for a while. Did you see the ending of Raw? I didn't see it. I heard about it, where like Alexa Bliss covered herself in gasoline. I heard about it. I didn't see it though. I went all of 2020 without watching a single episode of Raw, which is a first. A first for me. Didn't miss it, oddly enough. But that's the thing. It's like, if you're not enjoying something, why waste your time watching it? And if you do enjoy something, watch it as soon as possible. I have not watched the new season of Cobra Kai yet, but I'm going to blast through that shit tomorrow. Like, that's going to be the easiest watch ever. Yeah, it was supposed to be Magnum TA and Flair at Starrcade 86. Yeah. And that's how you got that random ass match with Nikita Koloff because of Magnum TA's car accident, which, what a shame, because Magnum TA, man, there was a lot of potential there. I'm not saying he would have been one of the biggest world champions of all time, but as like a solid mainstay and a good hand and just a really solid talent all around, I think there was a lot there that was never tapped into with him. The old Q&A system must have been a bitch. My old Q&A videos where I actually edited it together, yeah, it was kind of messy. I don't know how I found the time to get those together, but yeah, those got pretty messy. Thoughts on Stephen King, overrated or good? Stephen King, I've said this a lot about his books. His prose is very good. He knows how to make his books page turners, where you're invested and you're turning the page. Unfortunately, if you sit there and you analyze his book for more than 5 minutes, you realize that it doesn't make any sense. So I guess it's like a talent that his flowery, his words and his verbiage can kind of hide the fact that his story makes no sense. Another unfortunate thing about him, which has been the constant joke, is that his endings are garbage most of the time. So I lean more on the overrated side of things, but he's written some things that I like, so it's not like I hate him. Matt Chapman, one very important question. What are your thoughts on Triple H versus John Cena at WrestleMania 22? Go and watch any video where I talked about it. You know exactly what my thoughts are on that match. The Instant Classic, AJ Riggs Jr. So sad to see you go. I first saw your channel through your gimmicks. That could have for your gimmicks that could have worked. Been a fan forever. Thank you. I really appreciate it, AJ. Thanks. I really like your Weekday Warriors of Wrestling channel. Yes, go check that out. I'm still doing the show with Eric Clancy. The link is in the description. Weekday Warriors of Wrestling. We are still doing that. We just posted the new episode yesterday. It was the Brody Lee tribute episode. I'm still going to be doing the show with Eric. The main reason I'm not dropping that is because I like talking to Eric. And we share the workload, so it's not like I have to do all of that myself. So it's very, actually, putting those together is actually very unintrusive and very easy compared to a regular edited video that I do. Yeah, the Jericho Benoit one was pretty good. I like that TLC 3 match. Have you seen Cobra Kai Season 3 yet? No, I haven't. I haven't watched it yet, Melissa. I'm going to get on that tomorrow. Do you think that NXT has forgot how to create stars? I don't think they forgot. I think the system has changed in a way where they almost can't, because you get people that stay down in NXT forever and they stagnate, and they're not seeing like the influx of talent that they would normally get, and it's they're having to adjust to that, and I think it's making it harder on them. It's ironic that Stephen King hates the best adaptation of his work, The Shining, because Kubrick tried to have it make sense. No, I love The Shining. The movie, it's awesome. Favorite TNA pay-per-view? I did a video about my favorite TNA pay-per-views. I said Bound for Glory 07. That was a show that I felt like did just about everything. Like, it was a show that had everything, and they did about everything right. It was just a great show, top to bottom. Are there any other sports teams that you support other than the Giants or the Orioles? I support the Caps for NHL. They are the local team, and I do support them. So, but other than that, not a lot. Like NBA, I don't really have a team. For college basketball, I support Wake Forest because that was my dad's alma mater. But other than that, not a whole lot. It's going to be weird not having your opinions about wrestling. My favorite wrestling YouTube personality. Thanks for the over 10 years. Thank you for watching, Fernando. It's really cool. It's really weird to see people like, I've been watching you for years, man. And it's like, man, that's, it's like, have I been on that long? That's crazy. Yes, Cena and Edge did have their match at SummerSlam later that year. AJ Envoy, welcome. Welcome aboard. What's the funniest wrestling moment you've ever seen? Oh. I mean, it's got to be one of the classic. One of my personal favorites is the Mountie being carted off to jail after losing to the Boss Man at SummerSlam 91. That one really sticks out. That was the ultimate, the heel gets his comeuppance I think I've ever seen. Like, it was just perfect. And Jacques Rougeau, to his credit, he played it perfectly. It was super, super funny. Some of Mick Foley's stuff in the late 90s, like the birth of Mr. Sacco and stuff like that was really good. So when wrestling comedy's done well, it can be very, very good. What do you think is the WWE's most iconic moment when you think of everything from the commentary to the crowd reaction? Hogan slamming Andre or Taker throwing Mankind off the Hell in the Cell. You know, it's funny you asked that. Those are the two moments that popped into my head while I was reading the question. I think Hogan Andre is the more like historically significant moment as far as like solidifying WrestleMania as like the granddaddy of them all and the event of events as far as wrestling goes. Taker Foley was just one of the most shocking things that you ever saw. And it was just violent as hell. And something that hopefully they never try to repeat. Like, if they ever tried to recreate Hogan Andre legitimately, it would be amazing if they could pull it off. Taker Mankind is something I don't want them to even try and recreate because of how like dangerous it is. So. Connosaurus Rex, is there a match you love that no one else talks about? I mean, one of my favorite matches in SummerSlam history is Ted DiBiase versus Virgil for the $1 Million title. I think that's an outstanding match that never gets talked about. I think that match was the crowning achievement of Ted DiBiase's career, to be honest with you. Great story, great build-up. Piper was amazing on commentary because he had a role in the storyline and was invested in it. And DiBiase played the heel perfectly. And then he got his comeuppance at the end, and it was a satisfying finish. So that was an excellent, excellent match that never gets brought up. What are songs you hate by your favorite bands and musicians? Well, if you're a Kiss fan, you don't like I Was Made for Loving You. You're not supposed to like the studio version of that song. Which, yeah, the studio version of that song is garbage, but... Do you find it interesting that the NXT mid-carders do better on the main roster than the NXT main eventers? That is an interesting thing, where like Elias was a nobody in NXT, and then he goes up to the main roster and he has like a regular spot on the show. And I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to what Vince likes and what Vince wants and what Vince sees in people. And, you know. Cena won in Canada and Edge won in Boston. Odd decisions. Maybe. Is there any storyline you would like to see told again in WWE? Well, a lot of wrestling storylines is stuff we've seen before. It's always like recycling stories and just switching out the players or some of the circumstances. So, I mean, there's plenty of good stories you can always redo. It's just a matter, you got to make it different enough, and you've got to do something to help it stand out on its own. The Ted as a World Champion video was great. Thank you. That was one I really enjoyed doing. Feuds in today's wrestling are bad for not explaining why the two are feuding. Well, a lot of times, especially in WWE, they just put two people together and then they wrestle each other 9,000 times, and that's a feud. And it's like, not really, but okay. My pick for the worst Kiss song is Hide Your Heart During the Face Paintless Days. Yeah, it's not a great one either. The Edge Booker T feud was weird to me because they feuded over a shampoo commercial and we never got to see the shampoo commercial. I'm like, don't you think if they're going to feud over this thing, we would get to see the commercial at the end of it? I don't know. Call me crazy. Favorite TNA heel turn and face turn? Ooh. Favorite TNA face turn? God, that's hard. I'd have to think. God, that's a tough one. And I did watch TNA for a long time. I guess my favorite TNA face turn would be like when Fortune turned on Immortal. I thought that was really well done and was like a nice breath of fresh air after everything had been going on for a few months. And my favorite heel turn would probably be trying to think of a good one that wasn't eye roll inducing. It's hard to say. I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know. What did you think of Christian Cage in TNA? I thought he did great in TNA. I thought it was one of the better runs of his career. Biggest missed opportunity: Taker versus Kurt Angle at Mania 22 or Shield versus Wyatt Family at Mania 30. Shield versus Wyatt Family, because Taker and Angle, yeah, they had a great match the month before and everything, but they'd also wrestled each other before, so the two of them being put together wasn't like a huge attraction. It was just a really good match between two legends that I'd seen work with each other before. But Shield and Wyatt Family, it's like, dude, you could have done that at WrestleMania. It would have been huge. And that would have been a standout match for WrestleMania 30, but they didn't do it. So, and the matches we got were amazing, don't get me wrong, but it would have been nice to save it for Mania instead of just feeding Bray Wyatt to John Cena at WrestleMania, which nobody wanted. I think one of my favorite moments from you was your meltdown after Battleground 2017. Oh, God, that show. That fucking show broke me. Could current wrestling use more big men and not just spot monkeys? Oh, yeah, they could absolutely use more big men. For sure. It's important to have different bodies and different types and different looks. Not everybody should look the same. Apparently, Edge versus Booker was supposed to be hair versus hair. That also would have made sense given the reasoning for the feud. Which Christian Cage TNA theme song do you prefer? He only had the one, didn't he? I don't remember him having any other theme songs. Just the one. Seven Deadly Sins, welcome. Welcome aboard, man. Most underutilized wrestler going today? Probably EC3. I mean, he's a guy that should have been big in WWE. They didn't do anything with him. Now he's just kind of wallowing away in Ring of Honor. And it's like, and not that, I'm shitting on Ring of Honor. It's just like, how is he not a world champion somewhere? Like, that guy is just, he's got the look, he's got the talent, he can talk. Like, that guy should be doing more than what he's doing. Oh, the triple header match? Yeah, that finish was really bad, though. And then they negated it the next night by reversing the title change. One of the biggest missed opportunities was not having Taker versus Cena around 08-09. It would have been great to do that match just because I could have actually seen Cena ending the streak. It would have had a little bit more drama to it than some of the other matches Taker was doing at that point. But, it is what it is. Would wrestling have been better off in the long term if Nitro and Raw didn't compete head-to-head? I don't know, because I think a lot of the boom period starting in the late 90s was because of the head-to-head competition between the two shows. And you had these two really exciting wrestling programs going head-to-head against each other. I think that created a lot of fans. Would it have done the same thing if Nitro and Raw were on different nights? I don't know. But, on the other token, if they were on different nights, Nitro would probably still be around today, and WCW probably never would have went away, and, maybe wrestling would be a lot different now. Who knows? Thoughts on Wonder Woman 84? I didn't see it, but I heard it was really bad. Like my sister told me it's, worse than, Suicide Squad and some of the other ones that DC has made. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the exploitation of Eddie Guerrero's death. That was one of the cringiest things that WWE ever did. I'll never understand the decision to do that. Don't you get 92 Taker vibes with the Fiend where he became a face for no reason? Well, I didn't know the face turned. I didn't know the Fiend turned face. Is he a face now? I wasn't aware of that. I haven't been watching, so I couldn't tell you. But Undertaker did turn face because he didn't like being pushed around by Jake Roberts anymore. Do you think that it's overplayed when a tag team splits up in feuds, or is it boring if they just go their separate ways? There needs to be a mix. You can't have every tag team end in a feud, and you can't have no feuds between former partners. You got to have a balance there, and pick your spots well when you do it. Like Hawk and Animal having a feud, that would be stupid. That wouldn't make much sense. The Rockers having a feud with Shawn Michaels' personality change, that one should have worked better than it did. But they had some good matches, so. Yeah, but on the other hand, Vince is a petty guy, so he would have put something against Nitro if it was on another night. It was a very different time back then. I don't think Vince would have messed with them. I don't think Vince would have liked acknowledging their existence at all. What is your favorite match from The Rock that wasn't against Austin? His match with Hogan at WrestleMania 18. I know it's a boring answer, but it's the right answer for me. Who is Mr. SummerSlam? I did a video about that. I believe I said Bret Hart, didn't I? Like, Bret Hart was kind of my guy as far as like having amazing SummerSlam matches. Ray versus Sabu from ECW One Night Stand would have been awesome if not for the finish. Yeah, the finish was dumb. Yeah, I remember that where they both went through a table after like a jumping DDT or something. They knocked each other out, and the match was declared a draw. It's like, just have Ray go over, Christ. Well, I don't know. In front of that crowd, they didn't want to do that. But then again, just don't book the match. That's how you get around that. What's the most desperate piece of booking WWE could do for ratings? Hot lesbian action. They did it before. I remember when they did the HLA. I'm like, that is the most desperate thing I think I've ever seen to get people to tune in. That and the $1 million giveaway that Vince was doing. They were basically bribing people to watch the show. Do you think that Sting was used a bit too much by TNA? Yeah, a little bit. They could have scaled back on his appearances, but he did well while I was there, and it was great to see him. Do you think it was wrong for HBK to go over British Bulldog in one night only, considering Bulldog dedicated the match to his little sister? I mean, Shawn was the top heel and shouldn't have had his momentum halted, but then again, it was a UK-only pay-per-view and nobody was going to see it. So, like, nobody outside of the UK was going to see it at that time. It's not like the show was available on the internet or anything. So, I would have just had Bulldog go over there. And it probably would have avoided the Montreal screwjob had they done that. Thoughts on Eddie versus Malenko in their last match in ECW? It was a farewell to both men, and it was a great match. Which ECW One Night Stand do you prefer more, 2005 or 2006? It's about equal for different reasons. 2005 felt like an ECW show. Like, legitimately felt like an actual ECW show with everything that they did. ECW One Night Stand 2006 felt like a WWE show that was in an ECW venue. And that when you've got guys like Edge and Cena and even Rey Mysterio all featured on the show, it has more of a WWE vibe to it than it does ECW. That said, the ending with Rob Van Dam winning the title was really fucking cool. And there were some other really cool matches on there. And just to highlight what I'm talking about, the whole WWE feel to the show, one of the matches on the card was Kurt Angle versus Randy Orton. You can't get more WWE than that. Like, WWE 2005, 2006, it doesn't get more WWE than that. And they tried to push it off like it was an ECW match. I'm like, come on. Stupid. Where do you see wrestling in about 10 years? Hopefully in a better spot than it's in now. One can hope. Thoughts on Chris Jericho's 2008 to 2010 heel run? Very good. I thought he did really well. He reinvented himself and rejuvenated himself. And Jericho has a knack for doing that. WWE did pay-per-views yearly in the UK from 97 to 2003. I think why they stopped doing them is because they wanted to cut back on the amount of pay-per-views. Oh, WWE's always adding new pay-per-views. I think I don't know for sure. They probably stopped doing it because the pay-per-views themselves were becoming more widely available, and there was not as much of a reason to go to the UK and do its own like UK exclusive pay-per-view when all these things were becoming way more accessible. Thoughts on Kevin Nash unmasking Ray? Bad move. It was a bad move. Why does the WWE act like we've never seen Ray without a mask? Because they want to be able to sell toy masks to children, and so they just act like they act like he was never unmasked. Did you have high hopes for Sean O'Hare and his Devil's Advocate gimmick? I did. I thought it had potential, but then they didn't do anything with it. One of the best UK pay-per-view matches was the Rock Triple H Steel Cage match at Rebellion 99. I've never seen that. I've never seen that show. Maybe I got to hit up the network and start watching all the UK exclusive. Because I think One Night Only, 97, is the only one I've watched. Talking about things that don't make sense. Does tag team wrestling make any sense at all, especially when in comparison to combat sports like boxing and UFC? Well, I think it makes sense within the context of fantasy fake fighting. Like, you watch it and you kind of get it. It's not like it's this, this doesn't make any sense at all. It's like, you watch a pro wrestling tag match, it does make sense. Now, and it plays into that, like, team sport aspect of it, too, like football or baseball or something like that, where you've got teammates helping you out. Would something like that work in boxing or UFC? Absolutely not, but it gives you something a little bit different on a wrestling show, so I'm okay with it. Did you think the British Bulldog's last run in the WWF sucked? Yes, it was terrible. He was there. He showed up in jeans, and he was there for like a cup of coffee, and then they were pushing him really hard, and then they stopped. Because I think he was on his last legs physically, emotionally, and everything else in between. Favorite Christian Cage TNA match and feud? His matches with Samoa Joe, I think, were his best. I really enjoyed their matches. That one they had at Bound for Glory 07 in particular was very, very good. Oh my God, I hope I didn't get COVID. I'm coughing. Uh-oh. What are some of your guilty pleasure films or shows? Well, for Christmas, there's plenty of like goofy films that I watch, like Ernest Save Christmas and things like that, and Jingle All the Way and those type of films. I would consider those like guilty pleasures for sure. Guilty pleasure show, my biggest one ever was To Catch a Predator, Dateline NBC, because it was complete and utter garbage, complete and utter trash. But the sight of seeing like pedophiles completely destroy their lives just brought me great joy. I was like, I didn't miss an episode. It was like, look, I know this is exploitative garbage, but I love watching this exploitative garbage. That was something that I totally fell for sure. Thank you, Seven Deadly Sins. I hope the best for you guys as well. Did Daniels deserve a TNA World Championship reign? Well, I mean, if Chris Sabin got it, I mean, why not Daniels? You know what I mean? Like, when you look at some of the guys that did eventually get it, it's like, yeah, Daniels could have been World Champ. Why not? What is the most baffling booking decision WWE made during the Attitude Era? Most baffling booking decision that they made. Probably, I know why this happened, but I was, at the time, I was confused about Mick Foley being inserted into the main event at SummerSlam 99. I felt like it should have been Austin Triple H one-on-one. And then they teased it was going to be Austin and China one-on-one, which if they had done that, that would have been like something for the history books at least. And that would have been an interesting kind of attraction match to do, and like, oh my God, that would have been way more interesting to do that than to just insert Triple H and Mick Foley back into it and make it a three-way. It was like, that seems kind of lame, but and then Foley, the one I didn't expect to win the title, won the title only to drop it the next night to Triple H. I think that whole situation was like, they should have just either kept the match with Triple H or kept the match with China, one of the two. Thoughts on Christian's 2011 heel run, aka One More Match Christian? I mean, he did as well as he could, but he was subject to bad WWE booking at the time, which was the problem. Which Sting Vader matches were the best ones? Oh, God. I love the Great American Bash match and the strap match. Those are my two favorites. And also the triangle match with the Guardian Angel, Big Bubba, whatever name he was going by that week. That one's also very, very good. Do you think that there's an overuse of finisher kickouts in wrestling today? Absolutely, yes. And that's been one of the biggest problems that's hurt the business, where like moves have been rendered almost meaningless and near falls have been rendered almost meaningless. And that's something they need to get away from. And I think the two leading factors that caused that and influenced that were ECW, where they did it all the time, and Kurt Angle, who kind of popularized that style on the main stage of WWE. And it feels like everybody that's come up since then, it's like they just kind of took that mindset and abused it to an unholy degree. So yeah, I think it's a major problem. Did you ever watch Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares? If so, what was your favorite episode? Of course I've watched it. It's great. My favorite episode was Amy's Baking Company, because it was just such, like, the look inside the mind of a crazy person. Like, because it's the weirdest thing. Like, it was the cleanest kitchen they ever did, for sure. It wasn't like a mess. But she is so batshit crazy that she was just a marvel to look at. It's probably my favorite episode of reality TV that's ever been filmed, because it was like a fascinating character study more than anything else. Thoughts on Space Jam? It was a product of its time. I'm a big fan of the Looney Tunes, and a lot of like Looney Tune purists and animation fans actually hate that movie. I don't hate it. It was just kind of like this fun little thing that they did, and it was based off a shoe commercial. It was very much a product of its time. Now, the funny thing, and I'll use this to talk about the sequel that's coming out in 2021. The original Space Jam had three things going for it. One, it was based off of a shoe commercial at the time that people were familiar with, so there was a context there in the 90s that's not present today. Two, the basketball players were the funniest thing in the movie. Seriously, that montage of Charles Barkley and Muggsy Bogues and all those guys going to psychiatrists, going to church, and all that other stuff to find out what happened to their missing talents. I think that's the funniest thing in the whole movie, and it's great. I'll never go out with Madonna again. What are you saying? That I'm trying to disobey my mama? I didn't say that, Muggsy. You did, but I love my mama. It's just... the basketball players were the funniest thing in the movie, so there was that. And the third thing, the album of that film is kick-ass. Like an awesome, awesome kick-ass album. I'm willing to bet that the Space Jam sequel is going to have none of those things. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see it recapturing the things that made Space Jam at least work a little bit back in the day. Even though, and Space Jam's never been one of my favorite movies, but it's like, this feels like, that has nostalgia cash grab written all over it to me. All right, Fernando, take care. NXT started Finisher Fest. I don't think they did. No, like the Finisher Fests have been around long before NXT. NXT kind of popularized it for the WWE audience, but no, the Finisher Fests have been around for a while. I would argue that like WrestleMania main events probably started the Finisher Fests for WWE. The Jericho Kane Last Man Standing match on Kane's DVD and Jericho's DVDs. Yeah, I remember that feud being stupid. I remember not enjoying that feud. I'll be curious to see Sting have a match in AEW. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm not expecting much from him at 61 years old, but which is why I've suggested like he wants to do a cinematic match. Apparently, it's like all right, that's probably the better thing to do with him, or do a tag match or something like that where he doesn't have to do a whole lot. That would be the best way to go. I'd be interested in seeing it, but again, my expectations wouldn't be high for what Sting can do in the ring. Yeah, Taker Shawn Michaels for sure. The match that unintentionally ruined the Tombstone. Because once Shawn kicked out of the Tombstone in that match, everybody had to start kicking out of the Tombstone. Amy's baking company is like seeing Vince operate something else. Oh my god. That's funny. Best part about Space Jam was the Monstars theme. It's like, oh yeah, the Monstars theme. That thing is more hardcore. A rap song made for a kids movie is more hardcore than all the rap that comes out today. It's really sad. FT Legend, welcome. Nope, you're just in time. There's no cutoff point here. I'm gonna go as long as I can. Do you think it's funny that some wrestlers use the DDT as a finish after years of it being a normal move? I mean, the DDT should have never gone on to become a regular move, but it did. So now it seems weird to see it as a finisher. But when Jake did it, man, that was arguably the greatest finisher in the history of the business. Yeah, Back to Action was closer to the Looney Tunes spirit, and I think a lot of Looney Tune fans would agree with that. The amount of finisher kickouts these days make me think the wrestlers abide by cartoon logic. A lot of them do, yeah. Did you hate that Kane was wearing a wig when he was unmasked in 03? Not really. Not really. Patrick, stop being such a Patrick. What does that even mean? I don't even know what that means. God, I've still got my Christmas tree up here. You see that? Still got the Christmas tree up. That's my view. Has been for the last month or so. Tomorrow I've got to take that thing down. Yeah, have you ever seen My Hero Academia? No, I have not. I haven't seen it. You ever been to a strip club? Yes, I have. I have been to a strip club. It's, not since the pandemic started, but I've partaken in the act of going to a strip club. Thoughts on Kane setting JR on fire? It was a scary visual, and that was a great kind of start to this new rebirth of the monster Kane that they ultimately dropped. But it was a good segment. I watched Last Action Hero last year, and I loved it. There, I said it. More and more people are coming around to that movie, which is weird. I saw it as a kid, and I remember not liking it, but I haven't seen it since I was a kid. I'm sure by today's standards, the movie's a masterpiece, which is really funny. Like, I was talking to my brother-in-law, and he made the comment about the Masters of the Universe movie, because my sister made him watch it. And he was like, I can understand why people didn't like this back in the 80s. By today's standards, this movie is a masterpiece. I'm like, shit, oh boy, we've fallen pretty far. Great Khali's career in a nutshell. Black tights equals monster, red tights equals jobber. Pretty much. Thoughts on Benoit versus Finlay and Benoit versus Regal matches? They were typically very good. Those guys are all great workers, and they could work well with each other. Last Action Hero was directed by the same director of Predator. Does that surprise you? Not really. Now, and actually, didn't he also direct Die Hard? Wasn't that the same guy, McTiernan or whatever? Where, in your opinion, is the cutoff point for the classic era of The Simpsons? For me, it's season 10. That's a pretty good cutoff. Season 9, I would also say, is a pretty good cutoff point. Thoughts on WWE turning monsters into goofballs? It's always a mistake when they do it, because monsters are a valuable thing if you can build somebody up as unbeatable, and then when you make them into a joke, then the person becomes useless. If you could remove a move from wrestling, what would it be? You say the Canadian Destroyer. I might be on board with you because too many people are doing that damn flip pile driver now. But if I could remove a move, I would say one move I've never been that fond of is the flatliner, because it looks like the guy is giving himself a rock bottom, or a uranagi or something like that. It just doesn't look good. I never saw the appeal in it. He also directed The 13th Warrior, which is a cult movie. I've never seen that. He also directed himself to prison for tax evasion. Oops. Oopsie daisies. Thoughts on Big Daddy V? I was never a big fan of Mabel or Viscera or Big Daddy V or whatever. He had his moments where he was entertaining, but he was never somebody that I tuned in to watch. I was never the biggest fan. Does Hangman Page take the AEW title off of Omega? I think that's where they have to go. To be honest with you, I think that's where I would like to see it go. I lost respect for John McTiernan as a person after he said he hates the Marvel movies. I mean, people can hate the Marvel movies. I don't really care. I don't know. I was never like the MCU. They're entertaining movies, but I don't love them religiously. So people say, yeah, you don't like them. You don't like them. That's fine. They're not for everybody. And also, I think the market has been way oversaturated with superhero films lately. I would like to. It's like, can you make anything else? Must it always be superhero films? Can't we make something else? Thoughts on Samoa Joe's run in WWE? He had a run in WWE? I'm kidding. No, it wasn't very good. But I made the point when it happened that it's like Joe's best years were already behind him, and I knew it was going to be hard to. For him to get over in a big way in the WWE, and he had his moments, but his best years were behind him, and it kind of showed. Thoughts on Michael Mann's Heat? What is Michael Mann's Heat? I'm not clear of what's going on there. Yeah, Scorsese caught a lot of flack for saying that. It was like, dude, he's like this guy that made fucking Goodfellas. You really think he's gonna enjoy Cape movies? Come on. I smashed my new guitar over my brother's head in a hardcore match, and I accidentally gave him a concussion. Ouch. Jesus, is he okay? Thoughts on Michael B. Jordan directing Creed 3? Is he? Is that the thing? Because I don't know. Is he a good director? We'll see. Martin Scorsese hates what Marvel did to cinema, and he's right. Well, here's the thing about Marvel. It's not so much Marvel that's the problem. It's how everybody's trying to steal the Marvel formula. And so every movie that comes out just winds up either being a Marvel movie or Marvel light to some degree. Even Star Wars, it was like, oh, let's apply the Marvel logic to Star Wars. And or you could not do that. I don't know. You could just make Star Wars. I don't know. Thoughts on Bailey, This Is Your Life? I remember that sinking like a rock. That was a terrible segment. Terrible segment. What are your thoughts on the Bret Austin street fight? Which street fight? The not the WrestleMania match. That was awesome, but was it the Cold Day in Hell match? Is that the one? Or was it Revenge of the Taker? Which one? No, Cold Day in Hell was Austin Taker. So did Bret and Austin face each other? That was Revenge of the Taker, right? I remember that match being pretty good, but not as good as their other ones. No, you don't need to insult the fans of the movies to make your point. No, not at all. Oh, the movie with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. Yeah, I've never seen it. I've heard of it. I know of it. I've never seen it. They had a street fight on Raw. I don't remember that. I honestly don't remember that. Would you say their Survivor Series 96 match is also on par with their Mania 13 match? The Survivor Series match is very good. The WrestleMania match is more legendary. You can't beat that finish. So it's like to me, the Survivor Series match is not on par with it because the 13 match has that finish. What's your favorite piece of shitty Vince Russo booking? Oh, God. Shitty Russo. When I think of shitty Russo, I think of things like the Marlena miscarriage angle, which went nowhere. And this was going on at the same time as, Road Warrior Hawk being a drug addict and coming out on TV and wanting to jump off the Titantron, and that ultimately went nowhere. Doing shocking things for the sake of doing shocking things, and ultimately not having much of a payoff to it. And it's those type of things that when I think of Vince Russo, those are the type of things that stick out to me. Yeah, I don't remember that street fight at all. I don't. The Cena JBL I Quit match is a 90s ECW like match. Yeah, that's the match they probably should have had at WrestleMania. Mm. I got this pop vinyl thing and it has Austin and the Sharpshooter by Brett, and I painted blood on it. It looks legendary. Ooh, that's awesome. Kevin Nash said he was scared of the Steiner brothers backstage. I can agree. They were two badass boys. My favorite bad Russo booking was, hey, Russo, did I do a good job for you? Oh, yeah, back when WCW was really in the crapper. Those were dark days, man. Dark, dark fucking days. Well, Russo's, yeah, the shock will wear off, but also it's like if you don't know where you're going with that thing, there's no reason to do the shock. The reason to shock people is to hook them in and then get them to tune in to whatever story that you're trying to tell. And if there's no payoff to that, then why the fuck are you even doing it? From 0 to 10, how would you rate the Quacker Jack? I don't think I've ever seen that. What's the Quacker Jack? And don't say the Darkwing Duck villain, because I'm almost certain you're referencing something else. Terry Reynolds said she couldn't stand the Steiner brothers. I can see that. I can see them rubbing people. Is there any beer you don't like? I had Midas Touch the night before my college graduation, and me and my friends, we all just got trashed and hammered, and I had a hangover the next day. And the beer, and it was beer that we went and bought that day, and the guy at the store like pushed it on us. It was like, oh yeah, this stuff's really good. I think he was working there and he was trying to get rid of it because nobody was buying it. And holy Lord, it tasted awful, but we drank it anyway. So we got drunk off this awful, awful beer, and we had hangovers for our graduation the next day. It was not a good thing, not a good experience. Better tag division in '89, WWF or WCW? Ooh, God. It's tough to say, because in '89, you had Heart Foundation, The Rockers, Demolition, Arn and Tully. Strike Force was still around up until WrestleMania 5. And then on the other side, you had Rock and Roll, Midnight, the Steiners and the Road Warriors. God, that's... Flip a coin, take your pick on that one. I'm going to lean towards WWF on that one just because they had Arn and Tully at that point. And I think that tipped the scales. Thoughts on the Main Event Mafia? Actually a cool idea, and I like some of the aesthetics of it, but not all the creative was good, but it had moments where it was really entertaining and other moments where it was like downright awful. It wasn't very consistent. Oh yeah, my own my own Jack Daniel's Donald Duck orange juice drink. How would I rate the Quacker Jack? I mean, it's something that it's a normal, like, about a 7. It gets the job done. It's not like the best cocktail ever, but it gets the job done. What are your thoughts on the Thunderdome from Halloween Havoc '89? I mean, it was an overly big structure. It was kind of like one of those precursors to Hell in a Cell that didn't really catch on. Girls in cars. What do you think was the end of TNA's glory period? I never really had a glory period. They kind of like, I mean, the Hogan thing was kind of supposed to be their next step, and it didn't really happen. So it was like, but they never really had like a glory period. They were just always kind of like on the cusp of becoming significant, and it was that unobtainable brass ring that they just couldn't get. Would you say the Flair Funk I Quit match is the second best I Quit match? It's up there, for sure. I can imagine Bruno being the guest ref in the Thunderdome burnt a hole in Vince's ass. I'm sure he wasn't happy. Favorite Queen song besides Bohemian Rhapsody? Well, my favorite song of all time is Under Pressure. That's honestly God my number one favorite song of all time. So that would be my answer here. Flair versus Foley. I remember not liking that match, but I haven't seen it since it first came out, but I remember not being too high on it. But no, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should go back and give it another look. Alrighty. Oh, wow. We're past 7 o'clock here. Okay. I'm going to go get a drink real quick and I'll be right back. So don't go away. Hello, I am back. What's going on here? Shut up, noob. What? Rysack rule. What? What's going on here? What did I miss? Which mid-carder from the Ruthless Aggression Attitude Era would get the biggest pop if they returned today? Ooh. I don't know. This is good. This is a Stone Brewing IPA. It's pretty good. Yeah, that's a great question. I don't really know. Like, a mid-carder from that period? I honestly don't know. I don't know who's well remembered. What is the moment you guys said, I'm done with The Simpsons? I never really had that moment. It just kind of, over time, I just kind of got like less and less interested in it until I just stopped watching altogether. It was a gradual thing. There was not like one moment. Is there a certain wrestler's entrance song you love so much that you were disappointed when they changed it? Whenever Kane remixed his theme, like, they kept remixing Kane's theme and they did the slow chemical version with lyrics and everything. And I was always like, man, the original theme was so good. Why'd you change it? You know? Demolition, when they got rid of their theme, when they turned heel and rejoined Mr. Fuji in 1990, and they changed their theme to that generic heel theme, it's like, why'd they change it? The original is so good. Goldberg got fucked over by two members of the Clique at Starrcade 98 and SummerSlam 2003. Can't beat the Clique, baby. Yeah, Ruthless Aggression. You know the funniest thing? They never actually called it the Ruthless Aggression era. That's just like a fan term that kind of caught on and now everybody uses it. But they never really, like, WWE never called it that at any point. Yes, when they remixed Goldberg's theme, yeah. When WWE remixed his theme in 03, I was so mad. It was like, why are you changing it? The original is so good. There's no reason to change it. Yeah, this is good shit. I got this in my Christmas stocking, by the way. My family was very kind to me. I love that we've gotten to that age where we just give each other booze and beer and alcohol and shit. When they changed Christians when he came back in '09, I see. I don't remember the theme change there. It was called Attitude Entertainment in the Ruthless Aggression era. Yep. I would prefer if Kenny had the New Japan theme, but his AEW one's okay. It's fine. I would prefer the New Japan one, though. Oh, also want to let you guys know, like the last couple videos I've done, my PS4 handle and ID and my Switch friend code are in the description. If you want to connect with me on through those means, you're free to do so. So enjoy that. Right now, I'm still playing Super Mario Odyssey. I've got one more moon left to go. It's on the darker side of the moon, and I've been told that that one's like a bitch. I haven't even tried it yet, but I hear that one's really, really hard. There's plenty of material for a Regal retrospective of some kind, for sure. Kane's slow chemical theme worked during the Lita storyline. God, the Lita storyline. That thing was ridiculous. The Wedding from Hell. It was great. Oh, yeah. If you watch Regal and WWF the first time around, it was clear he was not all there. It showed. I always hated the Vince Kiss My Ass Club. Did you? It got overplayed. If they kept it to just the one segment with Regal, which was like perfect Attitude Era garbage for the time, where it's like, all right, how far are they going to take this thing? When they did it week after week, it became annoying. It's like, dude, you only needed to do this once, and I think you would have been fine. It's kind of weird though that I've seen the ass of a billionaire. That's kind of weird. Or millionaire. I don't know how I don't know what Vince's net worth is, but Vince got the karma he deserved when he got his face shoved in Big Show's ass. There's a lot of shoving in people's faces and asses in WWE. It's like how many times has that happened? There's some weird like somebody that works in that company has a tossing the salad fetish. I don't know who, I don't know where, I don't know why, but do you think that the Jeff Hardy Victory Road incident is TNA's worst moment? Yes, I would say yes, absolutely. That is like probably the single most humiliating thing I've ever seen for a company on pay-per-view, like ever. Like that was like about as bad as it could possibly get. And the person I felt the most sorry for in that entire situation was Sting, because he was there ready to go and to do his job, and he had to be like, fuck. And he had to be there and be the only adult in the room. WWE has been known for their animal cruelty storylines. Oh, you mean like poor Pepper? What Big Boss Man did to that dog? Yeah, they do kind of do that. Oh my god, when they killed Damien, when Earthquake killed Damien back in 91, I was so upset as a kid, because Damien was my favorite of the animal sidekicks. And so when Earthquake killed him, I was so upset. I was despondent. But that's why you do stuff like that. It gets an emotional reaction. I think a lot of people get too easily offended And they don't realize it's like, look, bad guys do bad things. That's why we tell stories and, why we have heroes that stop the bad guys. It's how it's supposed to go. I remember you saying that Jeff Hardy should have never been on wrestling TV again after that happened. Well, he ended up redeeming himself at least somewhat. But at the time, I was like, he'll never be back. I was like, that's the end. No one will touch him. But, TNA brought him back and WWE brought him back, so I was wrong in that regard. Stephanie's dog Lucy got killed. No, she got run over by when a car backed into her. I don't think the dog died. That was one of the worst things they ever did, by the way, because it was so stupid. It was so stupid. Triple H is like, you hurt my dog. Time for WrestleMania build-up, boys. That was so bad. It was so bad. I remember how bad that was. Imagine if the Trish barking like a dog thing happened in this day. Oh God, it would be. Oh my God, they'd never get away with it. They'd have to cancel the show. USA would have to pull the show. But again, I go back to this example. Vince humiliated a woman, did something really bad, and then at WrestleMania she got back at him in like one of the biggest pops on the show. It was great. It was really good how they handled that whole thing, and like people don't see the whole picture whenever something like that happens. It's really pathetic, really. I mean, which is worse, making a woman crawl around the ring barking like a dog and strip to almost nothing, or stabbing a guy in the eye with a spike? Like, which one, if we're going to break it down, which one is actually worse? One is heralded as a classic moment, and the other one is seen as like sexist, ridiculous material that added nothing. And I'm like, isn't it all operating under the same principle that the heels do really bad things and then they get their comeuppance later on? I don't know. Call me crazy. Yeah, wrestling's a work. It's totally a work. And people don't want to accept that. Yeah, so for anybody who says that Jim Cornette is a booking genius, his main event to the WWF WCW invasion was going to be Cactus Jack versus Terry Funk, which makes absolutely no sense at all. And I love both guys, but that main event makes no sense at all. Thoughts on Jeff Hardy's heel theme in TNA? I remember thinking it was pretty good. Wasn't Lucy also the dog that wasn't also Triple H's dog that Stephanie made Jericho pick up after? Yep, that same dog. Did you hate Rick Rude's Phantom of the Opera gimmick? I didn't love it, but Rick Rude had a good run in WCW. I loved him as U.S. champ. Up until he got injured, he was doing great. Will Alberto El Patron ever be let back on WWE TV? That one I doubt. I mean, never say never, but I doubt it because I think he's soiled his own reputation quite a bit. Yeah, Ray's running out of things that he's got two of, right? That's all on the left side of his body. Can you do your total Bella's Cena impression one last time? Oh, God. Let me get into character. I haven't done this in a while. I will not marry you. We will not have children. And if you live in this house, you will clean your bed every day. You will not use my kitchen. And if you venture outside, the dragon in the woods will eat your soul. That is how we operate in this household. And that is what we do. And any breaking of those rules, and I will get very, very, very upset. Did you enjoy Booker T and Goldust as a tag team? I did. That was a pairing that shouldn't have worked, but did pretty well. How many Gene Kiniski matches have you seen? None. I've never seen a Gene Kiniski match. His match with Terry Funk is on the History of the World Heavyweight Title DVD. Oh, cool. I never owned that DVD, so that escaped me. It's also funny how no one complains about Carmella attaching a dog collar chain on James Ellsworth and making him walk around with her. I completely forgot about James Ellsworth. Oh my god. I completely forgot that he was a thing. But yeah, it's like, what's the difference between that and that? And it's the same principle. It's a heel being a heel. So what's the problem? Is it really that hard to believe that a hot girl like Carmella would have like a schmuck like James Ellsworth that willingly debases himself to... He's basically a simp. I mean, that's basically what his gimmick was. Dory Funk. You meant Dory Funk. Okay. Don't you mean Haas Funk? Will John Cena ever become a real boy? Well, when he gets trapped in the stomach of a whale, we'll find out. Thoughts on John Cena getting stabbed? That was a random storyline development. I've heard rumors that it was originally supposed to be New Jack. Like New Jack apparently pitched that idea or something. But yeah, it was such an out of nowhere like idea. It's like, oh my god, like one of your guys almost got murdered at a club, and they barely followed up on it. Like it was just such a weird. He just had that match with Jesus, and that was it. And it was just, it probably could have been something big and interesting, but it just didn't go anywhere. On the Attitude Era DVD, it has D'Lo, Jarrett from SummerSlam 99 on it. It should have been Austin, Triple H, and Mankind. I remember liking the Jarrett D'Lo match. That was a cool match because that was D'Lo. I was a big mark for at the time, and he was going in as a double champion, and then he lost. And that was like the last of D'Lo Brown's like big pushes, which is unfortunate. But it was nice to see D'Lo get that kind of a run at that point. Jesus? Yeah, remember Jesus? Who remembers Jesus? I found Carlito boring. I liked him. I liked Carlito just fine. He was another one of those guys that got over and then they didn't do anything with him. It was like, oh, I know, let's job him out to Ric Flair. That'll help him. It didn't work out. I can see it now. New Jack reenacts the mass transit incident with Cena, then Cena pops back up in AA and the match is over. That would actually be awesome if they did that. Favorite Shane stunt? A lot of people are going to say him jumping off the Hell in a Cell, but that was one of those spots that took so long to set up that it the visual is nice, but it kind of took me out of the match a little bit too because it took them so long to set it up. My favorite one was SummerSlam 2000 when he had the match with Steve Blackman, and Steve Blackman was chasing him up the scaffold, and because Shane was a little pussy that was trying to run away from a real fight, and then Blackman just kept smacking him with the kendo stick, and then Shane just fell off this massive 30-foot scaffold or whatever it was, and that was like a lot more shocking at the time, even though you could tell he landed in a crash pad. It was still like, holy shit, is he gonna fall off that thing? And it was super dangerous, but really well done. When and of course, Kurt Angle got the laugh of the night when right after that match, he did a backstage segment with Stephanie, where Stephanie's all freaking out because it looked like her brother just died on pay-per-view, and she's like having a fit, and Kurt Angle's like, no, I think he's fine. He just had the wind knocked out. It was super funny. It was like, oh god, early Kurt Angle was a hoot. If New Jack wasn't insane, how would he have done in WWE? Probably not well, because I don't think he's that good of a worker, and I think he would have been exposed going to a real WWE system. I don't think he would have worked out anyway, even if he wasn't a complete lunatic to deal with. I just don't think that the talent was there. Yeah, I remember when Angle did that. He was the first Eurocontinental champion. I'm like, no, you weren't. D'Lo was, bitch. I remember saying that in high school. It's like, no, D'Lo was. And D'Lo was my man. Yeah, Chris Masters, he's one. There was some potential there, but it just didn't work out for him. Oh, yes, that triple threat from WrestleMania 2000, one of the only matches on that show I didn't hate. Patrick, when is your voice going to crack? Never. If it hasn't cracked by now, it's not going to crack ever. Who are your favorite Canadian bands? Oh, Rush, obviously. They're Canadian, right? Am I right on that? Homicide trying to get out of the cage only on Spike TV. Ooh, God, that was embarrassing. That was their opening match on the big January 4th show with Hogan showing up, and that whole finish just sank like a rock. It was terrible. Fun fact, Shane took the Rikishi Hell in a Cell spot twice before Rikishi to show him it was not that hard. Wow. Worst Michael Cole call. Mine is For the Love of Mankind. I don't know if I can think of any like off the top of my head. It's just in general, like Michael Cole just says stupid things all the time. And as we found out, it's because Vince tells him to say stupid things. Triumph for like a straight up version of Rush. That's fine. That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. That cage looked like a pain in the ass to get out of, too. Yeah, it did. That fucking, like, I forget what they called it, the Steel Asylum or something like that, with the little dome on top that they had to Spider-Man their way out of. It's like, yeah, that thing looked like a pain in the ass to get out of. Which begs the question, why didn't you have somebody go over that could actually get out of the cage? If you had your own wrestling federation, how many championships would you have and what would they be called? I would have a world title, tag titles, some kind of specialty title, like a cruiserweight title or a women's title or something. Depending on what roster was available to me, I would make some kind of a specialty title. And maybe, if my roster was big enough, a mid-card championship. But other than that, nothing. You know. It's like, there are too many belts nowadays. And like, the less belts you have, the better, I think. So it's like, you start with world and tag team, and then you just kind of like, all right, what can we do with our roster? And figure it out from there. You said you hated Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hottie's reunion. Oh, and they tried to be like too cool again, and it just, yeah, that didn't, yeah. Yeah, Michael Cole's not so bad when he doesn't have Vince in his ear. Don't you think Michael Cole was at his best when he was with Taz? It seemed like they got along pretty well, and they had decent chemistry with each other. Because that's also when Michael Cole got raped by Heidenreich, so. What do you think AEW could do to improve their women's division? I really think they should have done, like, AEW women's title versus NWA women's title. They had the chance to do like a title for title match. They ultimately didn't do it. Or maybe they'll do it in the future. Who knows? But they need, I don't know what it is exactly, but they need something that's like a hook to kind of drive the entire division. Like the world title situation right now is Kenny Omega doing cross-promotional stuff with Impact Wrestling, and he's going to be like a belt collector type of guy. So there's that. Tag division has like the difference of opinion in the styles, like FTR not wanting to be the spot monkeys like the Young Bucks and that type of stuff. So they've got a deep enough division to do something like that with. The women's division just doesn't have like kind of a hook. It's just and they've picked up some talents that have done better, like Serena Deeb, like Thunder Rosa, and those type of girls. But it's missing a direction and something to kind of drive the entire division. And if they can figure out what that is, I think the division will be fine. DDP's stalker gimmick was voted worst gimmick of 2001. Might have been. Wasn't that the same year that Perry Saturn was dating a mop? I'm just asking. Do you think WWE would have fared better if they'd ripped off the X title, mid-card, and Cruiserweight title combined? Well, the Cruiserweights are going for the Heavyweight title, so it wouldn't have been... I don't think it would have like made any kind of difference if they did that. Thoughts on Heidenreich? Not very good. He didn't even have that good of a look, to be honest with you. I don't know. Never somebody I was interested in. I always hated Jazz. All she was a poor woman's China. I mean, she was okay. She had her moments. I didn't love her, but she was okay. Is Cody Rhodes' long entrance a little too much? When he does it on TV, yes. You could save the long entrances for pay-per-view, but he has to do all the pomp and circumstance every single episode of Dynamite. That's a bit much. It would actually be better if he just saved the longer entrances for the pay-per-views. It's kind of like Finn Balor doing his special demon entrances every week. Like, it wouldn't work. Okay, we're over an hour and a half in, and YouTube hasn't pulled me yet, so that's good. That's good. Oh, man. 2002 was a transitional year for WWF. Well, obviously it was. They changed their name. They transitioned to a new name. That was the thing that happened in 2002. Ah. It was also weird to see Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels both win the title in 2002 at that point. It was like, there's something I didn't expect to see. That was weird. Heidenreich's original idea, he was supposed to be a Nazi awoken from suspended animation. See, in Lucha you're right. In Lucha Underground, that gimmick would have been amazing. In WWE, it would have been like, what the hell are you talking about? Get the F out. Thoughts on my profile pic? Let's see. That Christian smug look on his face? I guess it's fine. Brock Lesnar was the face of the company for a year and a half, and then he left to go play football, and then he dominated MMA, and then he came back. Which guys had the worst world title record matches to you? Oh, God. I'd have to think about it. Like, Great Khali was awful. Kane was awful. Yeah, it felt like during the split world title era, the first time they did it, like, the world title was where a lot of their experimental champions came in. It was typically pretty bad. Triple H used to spit water every week and it worked. Yeah, but that's not like an overly long entrance either. It's like, I'm talking about, like, what if Triple H came out and did the Castle Grayskull entrance every single week on Raw? That would be stupid. Thoughts on your name? The Instant Classic AJ Riggs. Well, clearly you're a TNA fan. It's a nice name. Possibly a Lethal Weapon fan, too. I don't remember that one. I'll only get the F out commercials. I literally don't remember that one. Oh, man. It's good beer. It's good beer. Good IPA. I like a good IPA. All right. Any more questions? Any more? Because if you stop asking questions, I'll sign off forever and ever. It's on the network. I'll have to check it out then. That should be a playlist. All the Get the F Out commercials is one, like, you can just watch them all in a row. Kind of like how the G.I. Joe the movie DVD, the original one that I had, it had, like, all the G.I. Joe PSAs, like, knowing is half the battle and all of those. It was really funny. To watch them all in a row was really, really funny. Did you ever see the film Blue Streak? No, never did. Thoughts on the May 19th storyline? It was kind of dumb. It was kind of dumb. And it led to the fake Kane storyline, which ultimately didn't work, so. mm. In Seinfeld tradition, what part of the muffin do you prefer? The tops or the stumps? Well, I eat the whole muffin. But the tops. I mean, that's where all the good stuff is. I don't know why anybody would only want part of a muffin. Like, wouldn't you want the whole muffin? You've been watching me for 8 years. God, it feels like time has flied, but I've lived in 4 different places since I started making videos. So, a lot of stuff has happened in that time. Thoughts on the Vince embarrassing JR segments? I mean, I just thought they weren't funny. That was the thing. Like, the one where he's, like, performing surgery on JR, it's like, it just wasn't funny. That was the problem with it. More that it's like, people could say, like, oh, it was offensive and it was disrespectful. I'm like, well, it's heels being heels. Again, that same mindset. I just thought the segments weren't funny. That was the problem. And it was Vince trying to be funny. The Hogan Boss Man Steel Cage is underrated. Do you agree? Yeah, it's a great match. The Saturday Night's Main Event match is really good, and I prefer the one that they had in MSG that popped up on a few of the Hulk Hogan Coliseum videotapes. That's a really, really good one. Patrick, why are you drinking piss? It's not piss, it's beer. It's actually, now that I'm looking at it on camera, it totally does look like piss, but no, I swear it's beer. What was your favorite episode of What Went Wrong that you recorded? Probably, I believe it was my first one, but it was one of my first ones. I don't remember which one I did first, but the Matt Hardy, Edge, and Lita storyline. Because that one, a lot of people seem to accept as being like a good storyline. But no. It was bad. And I'm going to explain to you why it was bad. Because they made all these mistakes. And I think that was something that I always wanted to do and something I always wanted to talk about. And I did it. I crossed that off my bucket list. So I really enjoyed doing that one. I'm going to miss your Star Wars videos. Yeah. I've done, God, how many of those? Like, the book reviews, I've done close to 50. Over 40 at least. Orton is known for being in 2 Mania matches that were way too long. Oh, really? He is? Which ones are you talking about? I can't imagine Orton ever going too long. Thoughts on The Fiend in 2020? I haven't watched. I straight up have not watched WWE, so I couldn't tell you. Will Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton be remembered as an instant classic? Oh, for sure. Absolutely. By the way, your reaction to that match is amazing. Which one? I sat through 3 of those goddamn things. All of them were milquetoast as fuck. Hogan's cage matches weren't run-of-the-mill Hogan match. I wish you could do more of the What Went Right videos like what you did with Zeus. Yeah, I thought about doing that, but I couldn't think of a second topic. After, like, Zeus was the one I really wanted to do, and I just couldn't think of another one to do other than that. Is Rhea Mary Sue? Well, in a lot of, if you look at how one defines a Mary Sue, I mean, she ticks off all the boxes. But I think Rey, like much of the other characters in this new trilogy, that she was just the victim of bad writing and poor planning. That's just, I mean, you can sit there and screech that she's a Mary Sue and everything, but it's like, the problem goes far beyond that, where it's like, look, these motherfuckers just didn't plan any of this shit, and it shows. And her character and all the other characters suffered for it. Jinder Mahal, more like Jingle My Balls. Jesus. Please don't go. Please don't go. Please don't go. Sorry, but I gots to. Don't worry, Patrick. I'll support Dorsk81 for you. I appreciate that. We need a growing fandom for Dorsk81. WrestleMania 15 was a bad show, but Battleground 2017 was so bad it made WrestleMania 15 look like a masterpiece. What went wrong? YouTube. Fuck them. What went wrong? They got bought out by an evil corporation and then became an evil corporation. That's what went wrong. Battleground 2017, just for the reaction to Kali's return. Is this the last time we will see you? Well, I guess if you want it to be, you can just not click on anything else I post after this. But it'll be the last time for a while, at least. Like I said, I'll probably do something around WrestleMania time. I'll probably do something when Godzilla vs. Kong comes out. But generally, like me making a video every week, those days are done. Have you played the Fallen Order game yet? I have not. I have to check that out. That's one that I should probably check out. I've heard nothing but good things about it. You think WrestleMania 15 was need to watch the Rage Party that happened the night before? I remember enjoying that, actually, because it was so different. It was like it was like an infomercial for WrestleMania 15, but it was done in like a completely different way. I was like, that was actually kind of interesting to watch. It was an interesting experiment. I wish we could see it again. I wish it was on the network. I remember Patterson and Briscoe trying to break into the show because they weren't on the guest list for some reason. Thoughts on the kendo stick on a pole match at Extreme Rules 2017 between Alexa Bliss and Bayley? I remember hating that match because it made Bayley look like such an idiot. She was talking this big game about how she's learned from ECW and she's going to be the master of the kendo stick match. And then when it comes time to use the kendo stick, she can't do it. And it's like, wow, you talked a really big game and now you look like an idiot. It was bad if you were there live, I've heard. Oh, really? Like, what were the live reports saying? When Mabel became Viscera, he went from looking like a goof to looking like a beast. I mean, yeah, the full black outfit certainly helped. And I remember he got the contact lenses. That certainly helped. All these Marvel and Star Wars side movies and TV shows, fuck, I feel like I'm doing homework rather than watching something. Well, with Marvel, I've decided, it's like, look, Endgame was the end. I don't need to see any more of the movies, at least for now. I'll be a lot more selective with the ones that I watch. And I don't need to watch every single one. I'm fine. And Star Wars, I don't want to see another Star Wars movie for as long as I live. At this point, it's like, I'll keep watching Mandalorian. I'll check out Book of Boba Fett and whatever shows come out. And even those will be like, all right, you get 4 episodes. Impress me. I'm not watching, like, no more of that. No more of that. All the food they have was just Chef Boyardee because that was their sponsor. Oh, God. That's what you get for a party? Jesus. What are your thoughts on the Edge-Regal feud for the IC title? I remember they were doing the brass knuckles bit with Regal, and it seemed solid. They seemed to have good matches with each other. Wasn't epic or anything, but they had some solid matches. Thoughts on the women's tag titles in WWE? I think, again, they have too many belts. It's a perfect example of them having too many belts. And that's the problem. It's just, the women's division, you've already got 2 titles for the women, and now you've got, like, the set of tag titles where they have the women's division is spread out so thin across all the shows that the women's tag titles have to be defended on every single show just so they have enough teams to work with. And even then, it feels like they don't have enough teams. Yeah. Well, then it's like the comic books where you have the main story and a fuck ton of tie-ins to get the full story. Yeah, like Age of Apocalypse and a bunch of other things like that, sure. Kogan, welcome. You just got home. How long is the stream going? We'll see. There's no definitive cutoff point. In your opinion, how has South Park done well at being on for so long compared to The Simpsons? I think it's just the material. They find these funny ways to satirize modern day events as they happen, and they're able to get the episodes out quicker. At least they were pre-COVID, but I think it's just they've just managed to adapt and keep themselves fresh and relevant because of their the way that they tackle current events and shit like that. Why did you stop doing weekly TV reviews? Because I was studying for my certification. That was the main reason I stopped. And then when I early in December, I decided I was going to stop making YouTube videos altogether. And it's like, well, there's no reason to keep doing the weekly reviews then if I'm going to do that. So. Drunk Shane. Yeah, Drunk Shane. And also Kane, who was like the stick in the mud, and Vince was like, lighten up, it's a party. Do you hate the WWE's women power mindset? Here's the thing. I understand that there's like, it's okay to showcase women and it's okay to showcase women wrestlers. I'm fully on board with that. But when you go too far with it, you stifle yourself creatively and you kind of put yourself into a box. So because the women have to be showcased as wrestlers, they don't like to have female valets anymore. They don't like to have women managers anymore because that's seen as passe and demeaning to women for some reason. And that undercuts talents like Maria Kanellis, who is really good at being a valet. And then there are other women who are terrible wrestlers that are put in the ring and forced to wrestle because the women have to be wrestlers. And it also puts them in a scenario where it's like, oh, well, the women are a big deal, so they've got to have a women's title on both shows. It's like, yeah, but the women's roster isn't big enough to support two titles. Okay, fine. Like, okay, fine, whatever. And it's just kind of like, I think it kind of, they're so dedicated to it that they've overcorrected a lot of things, and I think that creates a lot of problems. It would be like if AEW had that same mindset with the women's division, and like we've got to push them front and center, they got to main event everything. Like it would be AEW would be unwatchable because their women's division just isn't cutting it. But you know, I mean WWE, their women are talented enough to like headline a pay-per-view once in a while or something like that, but it's not like they've, like I said, they overcorrected with it. And I think it's created more headaches and more stifling creativity than we should be getting. Thoughts on Jeff Jarrett spraying gasoline in Sting's eyes at Victory Road 06? I've forgotten that pay-per-view. Gasoline, wouldn't that blind somebody? I feel like that would blind somebody if you did that. Season 6 is my favorite season of South Park. What was on Season 6? Just out of curiosity. Because I don't remember from time to time. Have you ever seen The Graduate? Yes, I have. It's a classic film. What do I think? Yeah, it's a very good film with some really good performances from classic actors. It's never been one of my favorite films, but it's definitely worth checking out. And the ending is really cool. Has been satirized quite a bit. If you watch Wayne's World 2 and other things. The Simpsons even did one too. Season 5 is my favorite season of The Simpsons. Fuck your certification. Hey, man, I improved myself in the professional sense, so it worked out great for me. Big Show is just a big, nasty bastard. Wasn't that going to be his name for a while, the Big Nasty? Yeah, oh, absolutely. It comes across as super artificial because they talk about how they're progressive for women's wrestling and they're pushing all this other stuff. I'm like, you motherfuckers are the ones that ruined it in the first place. What are you talking about? Like, what the hell are you talking about? But, you know, and it creates a lot of scenarios where they pat themselves on the back. It's like, look how great we are. Look at what we're doing with the women. We're the greatest. We're the best. We're the absolute best in the world. And it's like, not really, but okay. Favorite Scott Steiner moment? Probably that shoot promo that made Ric Flair cry. That was like the ultimate. That you want to talk about Scott Steiner being Scott Steiner? That was it. Where he just shot on everybody and made Ric Flair cry. That was pretty amazing. Backdoor Sluts 9. Well, you got to watch Backdoor Sluts 1 through 8 to really get the full scope of the story. Name one Spike TV show you remember the most. I watched Bar Rescue quite a bit. And actually, I've mentioned this before, but the pirate bar that was on that show, local to me. And it was a known place, was the Pirates Bar. And seemed to be a gathering place for weirdos. Like, theater kids and weirdos went to the pirate bar. I went there once, and it was, honest to God, the worst bar I've ever been in my entire life. It was a bar for, if you want the Neverland, never grow up type of mindset, that's the bar for you. Me personally, I want to go to a fucking bar where I feel like a fucking adult, and that place wasn't it. Season 6 also had the Simpsons Did It episode. Oh, yeah. Oh, so this is like Professor K. So that was the season where Kenny was dead, and like Butters and Tweak were like his replacements for a while. Imagine explaining who was the champion 10 years ago. Oh my God. It's a mess. It would be a total mess. Favorite shoot interview, John Tutty. I typically like Kevin Nash's shoots because he always says something funny. I love Shawn Michaels' shoot interview from 2002, I think, with our video where he was still like 2000 maybe. No, it may have been as early as that, where he lied through his teeth about Montreal, and it's fucking hysterical to go back and watch now because he's been saved and he's a born-again Christian and everything. And you look at him back then, it's like, oh my God, Sean was an asshole. But, so that one's great for the time capsule aspect of it. And Jim Cornette, like his timeline of 1997 one, I really, really enjoyed. Hogan wants his spot, he can have his spot. His bald spot. Thoughts on Scott Steiner calling Samoa Joe a fat bastard? It was fucking funny. I'm sorry, it was fucking funny when he did it. Well, with South Park, Matt and Trey have been in charge since day one. They conceived it, they wrote it, they brought in other writers, and that switches from time to time, but they've been at the head of South Park since the beginning, and it shows. I would agree with that. Those are Goldberg's two best matches. Yeah, the one with DDP and the one with Steiner. Yeah, those are probably his two best matches. Where do you draw the line at separating the artist from the art? Ooh. I'm typically pretty good at separating the artist from the art. Like, I don't know. Like, they would have to do something. I don't know, like, because I'm pretty good at separating the artist from the art. Like, most artists are scumbags, like, especially the ones that become famous. Like, most of them have done horrible things that you don't even know about. So I always have that in mind. But the art is there to be enjoyed. So I'm typically pretty good at just enjoying the art. If I want to drink and feel like a kid, I'd go to Dave & Buster's. Fair point. Last night I watched the Simpsons episode of them being in my hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio. That's pretty cool. DDP and Nash, yeah, they were a pretty solid tag team. It's a shame that nobody remembers it because it was 2000 WCW. But they were a pretty solid tag team. Hailing from Dunkin' Donuts. I remember when Scott was the ring announcer when the Main Event Mafia took over the show. Yeah, I remember that. So which one were you, Patrick? The theater kid or the weirdo? I was a weirdo for a long time. I've kind of grown out of it, but I was never a theater kid. Hated theater kids. That was one of those things. My high school experience, you know, they all the media always, and arts and entertainment and movies and TV shows and everything taught us that, like, the athletic jocks were the assholes and the hot cheerleaders were bitches. And we were always taught that. And then I went to high school. It's like, you know, the ones I really couldn't stand were the theater kids. Like, the ones who lived for the theater, and, like, nerds and theater kids. They were the ones I legitimately couldn't stand, a lot of them. And it's like, dude, the athletes, they were kind of cool. And Most of the popular kids, they were either really cool to me when they had absolutely no business to be because I was a fucking dork, or they ignored me entirely, which I'm completely okay with. But the theater kids and the nerds, man, they were levels of annoying I can't even comprehend. Well, Toho's already announced that they're not doing a Shin Godzilla 2. So that's not happening. But, I mean, I'm definitely interested in seeing Singular Point and seeing how that goes. So I'm okay with not getting a sequel to Shin Godzilla 1 because the first one is so good. It's like, why sully it? But Shin Godzilla 1 was really, really flipping good. It's one of the better Godzilla movies, I think. My friend thinks Nash wasn't a good commissioner. I completely forgot when he was the commissioner. Yeah. Thoughts on Ronda Rousey's WWE run? Had its moments. She felt like a big deal when she was there and did generally pretty well. Yeah, I didn't dislike it. What's the worst reality show you've come across? Oh God. They're all so trash. Like, so many of them are just trash. But I remember one day in college, Average Joe's. Like, that one was just so stupid. Like, I don't know why. That one just really rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever watched. Yeah, we could get some Godzilla horror movies. That would be cool. I'd be down with that. Top 5 favorite tag team matches all time off the top of your head right now. Okay, if I had to say it right now without thinking about it, without rewatching it, and putting a list together, the ones off the top of my head... Heart Foundation versus Demolition, SummerSlam 1990, 2 out of 3 falls, because that was the match that made me fall in love with tag team wrestling. I would say I gotta pick the 2 out of 3 falls DIY revival match. That one was very good. Some of the Beer Money Motor City Machine Gun matches, they're 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 falls seems to be the common theme here, but that was a very good one. And I've got to pick something from the 80s. Something from the 80s. What stands out to you from the 80s? Probably... Sorry, I'm just looking at that. Yeah, those 3 instantly jump out at me. There's also... Oh, God. So now I'm hitting some brick walls here. Some of the Bulldog Heart Foundation matches are very good. And probably just because of... I just thought of it. Steiner Brothers versus... God, who were they? It was Sting and Luger at that one Super Brawl, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a hell of a match. Okay. I'm just getting caught up on the comments here. Okay, I agree with you that Hocus Pocus is good, but there's other 90s Disney movies I prefer, such as Toy Story and Toy Story 2. Yeah, Hocus Pocus was never one of my favorites. A lot of people love that movie, and I was always like, it's fine. Theater kids are crackheads in my experience. I'm sorry. Thoughts on the Team 3D X Division feud? Had potential. I don't remember it being that good, though. Lots of people say Hogan, Cena, and Bret had their 5 moves of doom. So did CM Punk. Well, a lot of guys have their sequences, and a lot of guys do. It's not just Cena. It's not just Hogan. It's not just Bret. A lot of them do. Shawn did, like that whole inverted DDT, forearm into then set up for the top rope elbow drop. Like, he would do that almost every match. Remember when Cena slapped Jericho on SmackDown? Yes, I do. Back when he first showed up? Yeah. 1995 WWF or 2000 WCW, which was worse? 2000 WCW, because 95 WWF was bad, but at least it felt like a wrestling show and had the skeletal structure of a wrestling show. WCW 2000 was just a madhouse where the inmates were running the asylum and nothing made any sense. Once Rousey, Lynch, and Flair went all worked shoot, it got stupid. I agree. It should have been Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey one-on-one. That's the problem. Thoughts on John Cena turning his heel segment? That was dumb. That was like thumbing his nose at the fans that wanted him to turn heel and kind of like breaking kayfabe a little bit. I was like, whatever. That was silly to me. Can we see pictures of younger Patrick? I don't have any offhand. I can't like. I'd have to go online and pick up a couple, but I don't really feel like doing that right now. I mean, let me see if I can find one. Actually, no, I can't. I shut down my Facebook. Never mind. I've got to reactivate my Facebook and get all the pictures off of there, but we'll do that at a different time. So, sorry, no baby pictures. A forgotten 2 out of 3 Falls match that is a hidden gem to me is the Hart Foundation Jim Duggan won at Royal Rumble 1989. Yeah, that was a really good one. What was that? Who were their opponents? It was Dino Bravo and the Rougeos. That was a pretty good one. I had different experiences. That's I think of like when I think of like tag team wrestling at its best, I think of like the 80s period. That's what instantly jumps out to me. So and the TLC matches, they're great for what they are, but they're not like that's not the art of tag team wrestling to me. And although I will say like that Angle Benoit Edge Mysterio match, yeah, that was a really good match. So that was a really good one. Thoughts on Dixie Carter's heel run in TNA? Credit to her for taking the table bump. That was pretty cool. But, she had her moments. She was hateable. I'll give her that. The 10-man tag at Canadian Stampede. Yeah, that's a hell of a tag match. What was the best chance to turn Cena heel? WrestleMania 29, rematch with The Rock, Shield comes out, helps Cena win. That's the ending for WrestleMania. That's what it should have been, and they didn't do it. And to me, that was like, if it wasn't their best chance, it was certainly their last chance to do it. Because after that, it just felt like it was too late. Do you think that WWE missed the boat on Christian as a main eventer in 2005? Absolutely. He had gotten mad over. People wanted to see a match between him and Cena, and they didn't do it. I mean, go figure. I don't know. Charlotte killed the whole feud Mania match. And I think what happened, and I'm just spitballing, I think it was supposed to be Charlotte and Ronda. And they had promised that spot to Charlotte. But then Becky got over out of nowhere. Like, she just became one of the most over things on the show out of nowhere. And really what they should have done, they should have changed it to Becky and Ronda. But they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to take a spot away from Charlotte that they had promised to her. So if I was going to guess, I was going to say that's what happened. But it really, for the best creative situation, it should have been Becky and Ronda one-on-one. His match with Tiger Mask in Japan in 1990. Yeah, I remember seeing that. That was pretty good. Hogan and Hansen. I remember seeing that match, and I remember thinking it was like, damn, they're beating the shit out of each other. This is awesome. I remember liking that match too. I remember you suggested they turn Cena heel when the Authority first formed. That also could have worked because he's like the ultimate corporate champion. Like, he's the guy that the WWE wants, not Daniel Bryan. I think that would have worked. Do you find it funny that every friendship storyline Alexa Bliss is in ends with her turning on said friend? Yeah, it's kind of like she's the anti-Hogan, where every friend that Hogan has turns on him. So now she's like the opposite of that, where she turns on the friend. I now prefer Futurama more than The Simpsons. Futurama is very good. I'm actually going to rewatch it in a little bit. Not tonight, but sometime later this year. Excuse me. Excuse me. Uh-oh, I've got COVID. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Do you think the Star Wars sequels will go through a critical reevaluation and be considered great? I mean, it's possible, because I imagine like some kids will grow up with these movies and that'll be like their Star Wars. You kind of saw that with the prequels. where the kids that grew up with the prequels kind of consider that their Star Wars. So I could see that happening, but I'm going to say the same thing I say about the prequels. It's like, okay, those movies still aren't good. Just because you're nostalgic for them doesn't mean that they're good. Oh yeah, Steiners versus Doom. That was a really good one. Yeah. I have seen it. Oh yeah, it's a great one. No, I agree. It's just that it's a similar situation to what happened at WrestleMania 2000. Why the hell was Big Show in that main event? Because the spot was promised to him. He was supposed to main event that WrestleMania with Steve Austin. And then plans obviously changed, and then he ended up being the fourth wheel in a match that nobody cared about because it's like they promised that spot to Big Show, which is why he got it. So I think what happened with Charlotte was a very similar situation to that, where it was promised to her, but then things changed and they just didn't have the heart to pull her. She's the anti-Sting. Yeah, Sting has had so many tag team partners betray him, it's ridiculous. Yeah, they sure did. Steiners, man, I love the Steiners. Put your mask on, Patrick. I don't have to. I'm not around anybody. All right, fine. I'll go get my mask. God, I'll conduct the entire video wearing a mask. Okay. Let me close that door. See, there we go. Now I'm protecting everybody. I'm wearing a mask while I'm inside. There, nah. I'm just kidding, of course, but... Don't worry, my brother sneezes about 5 or 6 times. Yeah, I always sneeze in threes. I'm jamming out to Girls in Cars right now. Yes! Great theme song. He does kind of look like the Ultimate Warrior a little bit. Yeah, Sting did. Wrestlers that everyone hates but you like, well, I've always been a defender of Scott Steiner. I've always been a defender of Lex Luger. I've always been a defender of Sid to some degree. I think there was more to him than people give him credit for. So those are the ones that really come to my mind. Russo was booking Patrick's departure from YouTube, therefore it's a swerve. Oh, I wish that was true. Thoughts on the Steiner test feud from 2003? Jesus Christ, that thing was a mess. That whole feud was a mess. Nice idea on paper, but it was a mess. Ric Flair keeps saying that Bret Hart or other wrestlers he didn't like never drew a dime. He must feel incredibly awkward seeing his daughter can't draw flies. Yeah, that's the problem with these theme songs. They lose the rights to them and they just kind of keep dubbing over shit. Favorite low card wrestlers? In TNA, I really liked Eric Young when he was doing his comedy act. I thought he was fun. I liked D'Lo Brown when he was European champion. That's for sure. I had a huge soft spot for who was I just thinking of? Just like I guess Hacksaw. Hacksaw would qualify as like low card, right? Even though he was over as fuck. Yeah, those are the ones that come to mind for me. Anyway, I'm going to demonstrate something to you guys to show you that a lot of cloth masks, this one in particular, which I bought this at like the very beginning of the pandemic because I couldn't get masks anywhere else and this was literally all I could get. But a lot of the cloth masks are completely useless, and I'm going to demonstrate why. Because if they work as well as people say they do, I should not be able to blow out a candle while wearing this thing, right? Oh my god, I can't. There we go. Got it. See, I shouldn't have been able to blow it out. Took me 3 tries, but Now, with a regular medical mask that you see like doctors wearing, they're like two layered and it's like the blue on one side and the white on the other. Those, I cannot blow out a candle wearing those, and I shouldn't be able to. But a lot of the cloth masks, you can breathe enough through to where you can actually blow out a candle with these things, which to me makes them completely pointless. But I still wear it out there because it was all I could get during the start of the pandemic. And I do have the disposable medical masks. I have a box of those in my car, but it is what it is. I sat through your classic Godzilla reviews long video. Any advice on the best cheesy one to watch? Well, if you're going with cheese, the 70s are a great place to go. I would recommend Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster, Godzilla vs. Hedorah, 1971. That is like the ultimate goofball, crazy shit, off-the-wall one. I would also recommend Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, the original from 1974. Also, that one's violent as hell. It's cheesy and it's violent, which is kind of funny. Those are the two that instantly stick out to me when I think of Godzilla vs. Gigan is another one that's probably worth checking out if you're into cheese. I'm not a huge fan of this one, but a lot of fans of sillier Godzilla movies really like Godzilla vs. Megalon. So if that's something you want to check out, go check that one out as well. Again, if you're going for cheese, the 70s are a really good place to go for that. Thoughts on Lex Luger's total package gimmick in 1999? Luger was at the end of his rope at that point as far as his career. And, it didn't really work. Like a lot of things in WCW during that point, it didn't really work. You're a Zack Ryder mark? That's cool. That's cool. He had a lot of fans for a brief moment in time there. Buddy Rogers. I've never seen a Buddy Rogers match. He hated Jim Duggan. I was a kid. I loved Jim Duggan as a kid. I loved him as a kid. He had one job. Go out there, pop the crowd, do his shtick, and then get the hell out of there. It's a simple job. Not everybody is going to give you a 5-star match. I don't want everybody to give me a 5-star match. Wrestling works best when it's a variety show. And I think you got to have different kinds of talents that do fill different kinds of positions. And as the filler match guy, I thought Duggan did his job well enough. Steiner isn't a wrestler, he's an entertainer. Can he be both? I mean, he was a hell of a wrestler in his younger days. One of the reasons I hate today's WWE is because they keep bringing back washed up old farts. I mean, they do, but the problem is not so much that they keep bringing them back, it's the fact that they keep making their young guys look stupid. So it's like the old guys look better by comparison. It's just bad. It comes down to bad creative more than anything else. Have you seen Knives Out? I have. I enjoyed it. I didn't like it as much as everybody else did. I thought it was fine. Like, it was a perfectly solid movie. I enjoyed it. Great cast. I thought the cast, great casting. But the overall movie, I don't know. It felt like there was something missing. I don't know what it was exactly, but I thought it was fine. Are you a peep? I'm one of Christian's peeps, for sure. Did you ever play the Godzilla, the Destroy All Monsters game on GameCube? Yeah, oh yeah, that's probably the best Godzilla game ever made. Which isn't saying much, but it was a hell of a game. I don't watch Godzilla, but I love the theme song. He's got a pretty kick-ass theme song, for sure. Thoughts on the Iron Sheik? Solid talent back in his prime. He's gotten over with us for completely different reasons because he's completely batshit crazy. So he's kind of a hoot to listen to, but... I mean, who doesn't love Shiki? He's just nuts. The guy's just insane. Can you give my channel a shout out? I sure can. Check out the YouTube channel of the Instant Classic AJ Riggs Jr. I have not watched any of your content, I'm sorry to say, but you seem like a nice guy, so I'll give you a plug. They was going to have a horny Matt Hardy gimmick. Who's going to have a horny Matt Hardy gimmick? Wrestling world, don't give Vince McMahon ideas. Okay, when I say variety shows, I mean guys need to be, there needs to be a wide spectrum of talents with different abilities. That's what I mean. I don't mean we need to start having guest hosts again. For the love of God, please, let's not do that. If anybody wants to see a horrible, cheesy, so bad it's hilarious movie, watch the South Korean movie called Ape from 1976. A terrible King Kong ripoff with the worst special effects ever. I've never seen it. I've heard of it. And I kind of want to check it out. Horrible gorilla costume. All sorts of people throwing things at the camera because it was originally 3D. And the giant gorilla gives the finger to the army when he destroyed a helicopter. Yeah, I remember. I've seen that GIF going around. I kind of want to watch this movie now. It sounds great. During the rock and wrestling era, NWA had the better worked matches and WWF had the bigger stars. That's true. WWF had the bigger reach as well, given the market. You know, it was in the New York market, so it had a bigger exposure for a lot of different reasons. I'd say generally that's true, but WWF did have good wrestling when you look at like their tag division and things like that. And that's just one example. Randy Savage being another example. They had really good wrestling. And the NWA had really good characters and could be entertaining when you look at guys like the Road Warriors and Ric Flair and those type of guys. So I think the strict divide that people talk about with them isn't as true as people say it is. Fuck the Hulk Hogan, Baba. Do you think WWE 2K22 will be good? I don't know. When was the last time WWE made a good game? I feel like every new game that comes out gets shit on. So I have not played a WWE game in years, like over a decade at least. Which other Roland Emmerich movies do you hate other than Independence Day and Godzilla 98? Well, it's funny you mentioned those. Those are probably their two best movies, Emmerich and Devlin. Didn't they also do like 2012? The Day After Tomorrow is probably the worst they ever made. That movie was fucking ridiculous. I would say that that's the worst one that his name's ever been attached to. But yeah, Independence Day and Godzilla 98 are actually his two best movies. At least based on all the ones I've seen. Who was the worst Raw guest host? Ooh. God. Jeremy Piven was pretty bad. Jeremy Piven was really bad, if I recall correctly. Because didn't he have Ken Jeong with him? And that was, oh my God, that was so bad. So bad. What was the worst women's feud in WWE ever that they've ever done? I have to think about that. I don't know why this one just popped in my head, but I referenced it on my last stream, but Trish making fun of Molly Holly for having a big ass. I'm like, okay, two things. Number one, Molly Holly looks hot. And number two, Trish has a big ass. I'm sorry, did you not like sell yourself on being in thongs all the time? She had a big ass, so it's like the feud just made no sense to me. Emmerich also did Universal Soldier. I did like Universal Soldier. I did like that movie. I didn't realize he had made that. Stargate and The Patriot. He made The Patriot? That was him? Feels a little too classy for him. Manos, The Hands of Fate. Not a very good movie, but goddamn is it one of my favorite episodes of MS23K. It's the all-time... It is the definitive MS23K episode for a lot of people, because it's like... You couldn't imagine a movie like that existing for real unless you saw it on this show. That guy, he got a concussion from Cena throwing him. I'm like, ooh, that makes it even worse. Thoughts on bald Randy Orton 2009? Is that when he was feuding with Triple H? Because that was something I'd like to forget. Was that him? The one who called SummerSlam Summerfest? Probably. Might have been it. One of my favorite guest hosts was Jonah Hill. He was supposed to guest host, and then he didn't. And I think he pulled a bitch, I'm not doing this show move. And he no-showed. I think that's what happened with Jonah Hill, but I'm just guessing. Have you seen any South Korean films? I have. I've seen Parasite. I've seen Old Boy, which is a classic, obviously. I've seen Yongari. I've seen that movie. One of the definitive. It's basically South Korean Godzilla, but it's like the definitive South Korean monster movie. They also did The Host, which was a monster movie I really, really enjoyed. So yeah, I've seen a few. I've seen my share of South Korean films. I saw that. Yeah, Orton lit Bray on fire at TLC. I saw that. That was like the headline that was going around everywhere online. Braveheart and The Patriot are my two all-time favorite Mel Gibson movies. I mean, those are two good ones. Mine are Lethal Weapon and Mad Max, The Road Warrior, but, you know. And Thunderdome. I love Beyond Thunderdome, too. Jedi Alex, welcome, welcome. Welcome aboard. Happy New Year's to you, too, my man. Which episode of MST3K had the random names for the tough guy? That would be Space Mutiny. Dirk Slam Chest. Biff Hard Cheese. Bone Crunch Meal. Thoughts on Crime Time selling Lita stuff in 2006 in her final full-time match? That came right after Trish got this storybook ending and departed from the company. And then a month later, Lita is being humiliated on her way out. It was like, that seems wrong. I have a friend who swears that Trish slept around the office, and that's why she got pushed the way that she did. And he has no proof of it. He has no evidence. But when you look at how Lita's run ended and how Trish's run ended, I look at that and I go, that's the one thing where he's got a point, where Trish got to go out on top, winning the women's title, and got this big storybook ending, and Lita got completely shit on her way out. It was like, it's one of those things that makes me go, look, I don't think you're right, but maybe he is. I don't know. Haven't watched one of your videos since last year. Ha ha! Nice. It's funny. Then WrestleMania lame ass is going to say that the spot was fake. No shit. It was fake? No, I never would have guessed. What really happened to William Wallace after they killed him wouldn't have been in the movie because it would have gotten an NC-17 rating. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Worst tournament, Brawl for All or King of the Ring 95? I guess Brawl for All was more of like a failed experiment. King of the Ring 95 was just a bad King of the Ring tournament. Like, Brawl for All was just a straight-up failed experiment. Do you think the internet hate for Alexa Bliss is overblown? She gets hate? Doesn't she have, like... I thought she was, like, the one that has everybody simping for her. Like, I didn't realize she had hate online. Ever get so hammered you drank yourself sober? No, that's never happened. Not to me. Once I'm drunk, I just ride it out. Although I haven't been blackout drunk in a long time. You know what they say, Patrick? When wrestlers retire, they should go out on their back, and Trish did too, if you get what I mean. Oh, that's mean. Favorite South Park Kenny deaths? My favorite one was Cartman Land, where he died on one of Cartman's rides, and Cartman got hit with a lawsuit, and Cartman was like, what's he talking about? Kenny dies all the time, and something about that. The show becoming self-aware of Kenny's deaths becoming like a running gag. Something about that just tickled me. Everyone has hate online. True. They are hating on her because she got engaged. Why are we hating on people that get engaged? I don't understand. What, because you wanted to fuck her? Like, you really had a chance with her? You think you really had a chance with Alexa Bliss? Give me a break. No, she's engaged. Congratulations to her. This is the first I've heard of it, so congratulations to her. See, this is why I need to get off Twitter, because I don't need to know what's going on in celebrities' lives, because I really don't give that much of a shit. Thoughts on the Joker Sting? Sting played it well. I mean, I'll give it that. Like, Sting's, like, his promos were good. I enjoyed it. for like just the insanity of it. If Mad Max Fury Road was the exact same movie but had Mel Gibson returning instead of Tom Hardy, do you think everybody would have loved it as much because of Gibson's troubled history? I think if Gibson had been in it, if Gibson had been in the movie, I think it would have been buried and ignored, and I don't think a lot of people would have seen it. I think that's the thing. Because of his troubled history, I think it would have been one of those movies where they like kind of bury it a little bit, or it probably wouldn't have even gotten made because of Gibson. So who knows? Who knows? Do you think we'll eventually get a Dark Side of the Ring on Jeff Hardy? Maybe. That would be an interesting one to do. Do you like that Jeff Jarrett went from being goofy country singer to badass outlaw looking guy? I thought the transition was great. I really liked the Don't Piss Me Off run for Jeff. I thought he did great. Oh no, how dare she get engaged to someone she's in love with and has a real life, personal romantic life with. I know, right? Bitch! Bitch! How dare you get engaged? God! What's wrong with you? JD from NY 206, he trashed Alexa Bliss on Twitter, and then Alexa retweeted what he said, and now he's a notorious guy because of... Well, here's the thing, like, that, he was criticizing her for her work, and if he's going to be, like, a wrestling online critic, like I've done over the years, he should be allowed to do that. He was criticizing her on her work, not because she got engaged, or she, like, dumped him, or some shit like that. Like, I remember when that broke out, and I was like, I mean, yeah, what he said, I guess you could say was crass, but it was like he's an online guy reviewing a wrestling show. I don't understand like why this is even a big deal. Please do the rest of the stream in Cartman's voice. I don't have the strength. I'm sorry. I don't have the strength. Better Jeff Jarrett theme, Chosen One, or his TNA theme? His TNA theme was more distinctive. The Chosen One, that makes me think of the Ralph Wiggum a Valentine from Lisa. You choose me? If you could attend one episode of Saturday Night's Main Event, which would it be? I have to pick one. I think it was number 6. Was that the one where Piper beat the Iron Sheik in like 70 seconds and cut that insane promo? Because that was like a pay-per-view level show. The entire show, top to bottom. I think I listed that as my favorite episode after I did the stream. So that one jumps out to me as one I would have loved to have been there for. That's amazing to me that Angle and Jarrett are friends, given how the marriage situation worked out between them. But yeah, no, Angle and Jarrett had some terrific matches with each other. Favorite Beatles songs? My favorite Beatles song is Here Comes the Sun. It is my ultimate happy place song. And I don't care. Come at me, but that's my favorite Beatles song. Sasha Banks' husband also gets hate too. Dude, I tell you, nerds are weird. Nerds are... There are some nerds that deserve to be bullied. I'm just saying. And the ones that do shit like that absolutely deserve to be bullied. Oh, Sandow absolutely deserved better in WWE. He should have had Miz versus Mizdow. That match should have happened. I will fight that every day. That match should have happened at WrestleMania. It didn't, and I think it severely undercut what Sandow could have been, and it cheated Miz out of a good WrestleMania spot as well. The Lana situation, yeah, all that stuff is mindfucky and weird for sure. Thoughts on Benoit conspiracy theories? They're stupid. Benoit murdered his family. I don't think Kevin Sullivan had anything to do with it. I don't think anybody else was involved. I think Benoit did it. I think he collapsed under the weight of emotional, psychological stress, head injuries, the whatever it was he was putting in his body. the loss of his friend Eddie. I think he just, his marriage was failing. I think it was a horrible emotional, physical, and psychological cocktail that just exploded one night. I don't think there's anything else to, like, again, Kevin Sullivan's involvement or anybody else involved with it. I think Benoit was the perpetrator through and through. And anybody that says otherwise, it's just, to me, a baseless conspiracy theory. I have a hard time, and this is the thing I always say, I have a hard time believing that the forensic evidence shows that the Benoit, his son, and his wife were murdered over the course of like a 3-day weekend. And they were all killed over the course of a 3-day weekend, with Benoit committing suicide by hanging himself. I have a hard time believing that people broke into the home and killed all of them systematically, stayed there for 3 days, and killed them one by one in that sequence of events, and left absolutely no physical or forensic evidence of being in that house, or no sign of forced entry or anything else. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, God. Oh, dude. Talking to girls in school, I was the worst at it. Like, I was totally Ralph in that situation, for sure. Photograph is a great song. Yeah, Def Leppard, man. I was listening to them today during my workout. How is Cobra Kai season 1 and 2 for you so far? I love season 1 and 2. I love Cobra Kai. I can't wait to... I haven't watched season 3 yet, but I'm going to check that out. I've heard good things so far, though. Sando and Ryder are the two earliest examples of WWE burying people for getting over without permission. It feels that way, for sure. Georgia on My Mind, that's a great song. Hard Justice 2010 is one of the worst TNA pay-per-views ever. Is that the... Was that the ECW reunion show? Because if so, that wasn't a very good show, if I recall. Yeah, Kevin Sullivan had some great matches with Benoit. Their wild, brawling, hardcore matches were great. Thoughts on Eddie Guerrero's 2005 heel run theme song? All of it seemed pretty good, like it was going somewhere good, and then Eddie passed away, and so we didn't really get a payoff to it, unfortunately. But it's like Eddie. I always felt like Eddie's a great babyface, but I always liked him more as a heel because he's just so naturally. When he really gets into that zone, he can be so hateable, and I thought he did really well with it. I can't imagine what was said over that weekend in the Benoit house, right? Yeah. Foley's last WCW match was against Sullivan at Fall Brawl 94. Yes, that sounds right. Dark food for thought. Benoit probably went to sleep in his bed with his wife and son's dead bodies also in the house. I can't even describe how fucked that... Right? Do you play chess? I used to play chess in high school. I have not played it in years, but I still remember how all the pieces move. But I'm sure if I played somebody with any kind of skill today, they'd kick my ass. What went wrong? They in TNA. Yep. Nancy, well, she wasn't a wrestler. That's the thing. She was strictly a valet, but she was a hell of a valet. That's the thing. Like, she was a great valet, which is why I feel like it's okay to have valets. It's not sexist to have valets. They're legitimately talented, and they provide something for the show. Sherry, oh my God, Sherry Martel was amazing. Some of the stuff she could do, so. Yeah, the Beach Blast 92 match, yeah, Foley and Sting, that was a wild match. I enjoyed that. Yeah, Cactus kind of became the king of the Falls Count Anywhere matches for a while, didn't he? Thoughts on 10-10-10? 10-10-10 didn't go very well. There was some potential there, and I was willing to give it more of a chance than most people were, but looking back on it, it didn't click very well. What's your favorite chill-out song you like to dim the lights and drink to? For me, it's If You Could Read My Mind by Gordon Lightfoot. For some reason, the song from Casablanca, As Time Goes By, that's like my drinking song, and I don't know why. It's a weird one, but that one always comes to mind for me. What went wrong? Samoa Joe and TNA. They took too long to pull the trigger on him. I think that was part of the problem. And they also did Kurt Angle versus Joe too soon. They should have given that a year-long build-up. Shawn and Eddie at WrestleMania 22. Yeah, what could have been? What could have been? Thoughts on Nation of Violence Samoa Joe? It was an attempt to kind of recreate him and kind of revitalize him a little bit after bad booking and kind of pushed him down the stairs a bit. But it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like his best run either. Any more questions, guys? I can log off right now. Bigger drop ball, Cody in WWE or Samoa Joe in TNA? Well, I guess it turned out to be Cody in WWE because he just went and formed his own company. It's like, oh man, you should have pushed this kid, or else it's because now you got like additional competition because of it. Joe versus Angle at Lockdown was the best match TNA had. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it was an interesting take, for sure. Favorite TNA faction? I guess Fortune, because I really liked all those guys. Even though I hated the idea of like another Four Horsemen knockoff, I did really like all those talents. Thoughts on the Sasha Banks Alexa Bliss fan feud? What's that feud? I don't even know what that is. What, are there fans feuding with each other? Because that's stupid. You thought on the Booker T TNA theme. It was a poor man's version of the Harlem Heat theme. That's all it was. So. You said you don't like the Austin Taker Buried Alive match. I thought it was enjoyable, but a bit too long. Yeah, it's not the worst match ever. I just didn't think. It was like, whatever. It was the thing that happened, and that's it. As M. Night Shyamalan, the Vince Russo of directors, I think that is a great comparison, actually. He started off hot, did something great, and then could never recreate that success. Bigger TNA signing, Sting or Angle? Angle. I would say Angle, because Angle was coming right off of his run in the WWE. He was the world champion at WrestleMania just that year when he showed up in TNA. That was the bigger deal. Thoughts on the whole finger poke of doom incident, like everyone's reasoning and the reaction. Wasn't the best thing they could have done, and I think going up against the Foley title win made it even worse and kind of magnified it, how bad of a decision that was. I think it was salvageable, it was fixable if Goldberg had just torn through the NWO one by one to get back at Hogan. I think that could have worked, but it ended up not working. Thoughts on Scott Hall's TNA theme? Was that the Marvelous Me song? That was actually a pretty catchy song. Which will happen first? CM Punk wrestling for WWE again or Undertaker retirement? Ooh, I have no idea. Who knows? I'm not convinced that Taker's retired, so, we'll see. Favorite wrestling event you went to live? Probably SummerSlam 2005. I really had a blast going to that. Tales from the Crypt is a great show. Yeah, no, I rewatched the whole show this year. It was great. Favorite squash match from Goldberg? I remember one he had on Thunder where he was going up against the Faces of Fear, or one of the members of the Faces of Fear, and he picked up Jimmy Hart and he threw him into Ming and the Barbarian, I think it was. And then he speared them all after they caught Jimmy. He just speared the whole lot of them, and I just thought that was so cool. So that would probably be my pick. Thoughts on Undertaker's 2001-2002 heel run? They did it because they needed heels, and he did the best job he could with it, but the problem was Undertaker was so well established by that point that turning him heel, it just didn't click. Like, nobody wanted to hate him, no matter what he did. I mean, he did the best he could with it, and he had some really good matches, like the ladder match with Hardy and the match with Angle on SmackDown with that stupid double finish, but yeah, he did the best he could, but like a heel run with Taker at that point wasn't going to work. He was just too well respected at that point. The Crypt Keeper, well, he became a joke machine. That was the other thing. Like, you want bad puns, just listen to the Crypt Keeper talk. He's just bad puns aplenty. Yeah, they definitely skewed more comical with him. Yeah, the finger poke of doom wasn't great. It wasn't great. Hypothetically, if Bischoff had bought WCW and subsequently done the Big Bang pay-per-view, what could have been done to fix WCW? New influx of talent, better creative, and possibly, even though you have to admit defeat from the Monday Night Wars, probably moving away from Raw and going on a different night of the week. I think they could have built, like, WWE had pretty much won by that point. But I think that they could have, at the very least, kept a sizable audience if they had continued somewhere else. And again, if you get better creative, influx of new talent, you could have become a pretty solid show that could have survived to this day. We'll never know, though. We'll never know. If I was an adult film star, what do you think of Flex Mayhem as a stage name? That's a pretty good one. The guys complaining about Alexa getting engaged is the same guys to beat the chicken to a fan art. Nerds will jerk off to anything. Like, I learned that the hard way when I got on the internet back in the day, like back when I was 11. And I got into like Thundercats fan boards and fan circles and everything. And keep in mind, I'm 11 at this point, and there were adults trying to get me to read their fan fiction and look at their fan art, and it was all like sex driven. I'm like, okay, couple of things. One, I'm 11. Two, this is a children's show. Three, please get the fuck away from me because you're creeping me out. But that's nerds, man. They don't know where the line is, and oh boy. Dream match: Haku versus New Jack versus Minoru Suzuki. Oh god, nobody's coming out of that match alive. Is Goosebumps overrated? Goosebumps is great when you're a kid. For me, it was like a great introduction to reading horror. Actually, I'll be right back. Give me a second here. This was something that I planned on making for Halloween, and it never materialized. But these are all my old Goosebumps from when I was a kid. I still have the whole set right here. God, these books are they're in shabby shape. But I believe if I went through these, I've got like the first 40 or 42 or so. And yeah, because I was really big into Goosebumps when I was a kid, because I was there for the initial run of it. And I was it was my introduction to reading horror. Now, if I went back and read them, it's like they're just total like kid stories, but as a gateway into horror, I thought it was very good. So if you're young and want to get into horror, I highly recommend Goosebumps. Very creative, very reader beware, you're in for a scare. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. What was everybody's favorite Goosebumps book? I'm trying to think, what was my favorite one when I was a kid? Haunted Mask was a really good... Haunted Mask was a really great concept, the Halloween mask that sticks to your face, because something about that is just terrifying to me. I also really liked Attack of the Mutant because of all the comic book references that it had. I also really liked anything with Slappy, because he was like G-rated or PG-rated Chucky. So anything with an evil ventriloquist dummy, I was cool with that. So yeah, those are the ones that really stick out to me. How would a match between Abdullah the Butcher and New Jack turn out, in your opinion? With them stabbing each other, most likely. No, with New Jack stabbing Abdullah and New Jack getting hepatitis. A Night in Terror Tower, was that... I remember that one, A Night in Terror Tower. Yeah, that's the one with the sister and the brother, and it turns out... Well, I don't want to spoil the twist if anybody wants to go back and read it, but there's like a time-traveling element to it. Ghost Beach, I remember that. Do you have any philosophers you latch onto? For some reason, I will always remember Descartes. I think, therefore I am. I don't know why, that's one philosophical thing I will always remember. Oh, Monster Blood. That was going back to Goosebumps. Monster Blood was another one I really liked, especially I believe it was the second one where the hamster becomes a kaiju and the boy has to take the monster blood to fight the giant hamster. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Why are the pages sticky, Patrick? The pages aren't sticky. They're just old and brittle. They ain't sticky. Yeah, these things are old. What does slap nuts mean? I will let you use your imagination on that one. What is your favorite Undertaker American Badass theme? Probably American Badass. It's a cool song that fit the character well. Too bad they had to censor. They had to like work around censoring it, which was always funny whenever it aired on TV. But worst beers you've tasted? I answered this question earlier, but since you're late on the stream, I'll answer it again. Midas Touch, because that was the beer I got drunk on with my friends the night before our college graduation, and we went to college graduation hungover. It was terrible, but the beer tasted bad, and it gave us a hangover for college, so, you know. What's the book you've read the most? Probably Lord of the Rings. I think I've read that like 3 or 4 times. Have you seen The Last Temptation of Christ? Not for a long time. I saw it years ago. Sonic fan fiction is the creepiest I've come across. Yep. It's not great. It's not great. Oddly enough, when I first got on the internet, the fan base that was like the least creepy were the He-Man and She-Ra fans. Because I would talk to them and be like, hey, do you play with the toys? Yeah, that's cool. What were your memories of playing with the toys? And, oh, hey, you remember this episode? That it was about the brand and nothing else. So, and you would think a show about half-naked people running around and fighting and being all muscled up and everything, there'd be a huge, like, sexual component to it. But no, it was like most of the He-Man fans I've come across are really cool and, like, normal people who just love the brand. And it's like, you wouldn't expect that. Like, Transformers fans, some of them are cool, but some of them are really weird. Thundercats fans, I've already gone into that one, that seems to attract, like, a weird subculture. Sonic fans are crazy, but He-Man fans, they were generally pretty cool to me. Do you think that Jeff Jarrett was in the main event scene too much in the early years of TNA? No, I don't, and the reason I say that is because he was the owner of the company, and he wanted to prevent WWE coming in and basically stealing their champion by offering something huge. He was trying to protect the company from that happening. And I think that's what a lot of that was. And he was only on top for 4 years, which is not that long when you look at TNA in a vacuum. And it's like, all right, so that's 2 years on top during the weekly pay-per-view era, then another 2 years or 1 year when they're on FSN, and then another year when they're on Spike TV. So it wasn't really as bad as people say it is, I don't think. I legitimately don't know who Don Cherry is. I'm listening to the Hobbit audiobook narrated by Andy Serkis. Oh, I bet that's great when he gets to Riddles in the Dark. Yeah, Don Cherry. I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. I typed in Sonic fan art, and the first thing you see is Tails getting hammered by Sonic. Of course you do. Of course you do. In no particular order, what are your 5 worst wrestling heel turns? Oh, God. Like Goldberg, Austin at WrestleMania 17. Monty Brown in TNA. And after that, it's a little thin. Can't really think. Oh, Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 2000, because I was just sick of the McMahons at that point. So that one kind of annoyed me. One more. For personal reasons, Miss Elizabeth turning heel always bothered me, because I was like, she was always this example of purity, and her turning heel just never felt right to me. I never got on board with it. Yeah, if you love The Last Jedi, you're going to get in trouble with Star Wars fans. But Star Wars fans, they get passionate about it and they get like really angry when things don't go their way. But at least they're not like creepy sexual deviants. At least not the ones I've come across. So, I mean, I'm sure guys have jerked off to Princess Leia, but it's not like the Sonic fan base. It's a completely different like era, realm of darkness. Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time? Ocarina of Time, easy. I liked Majora's Mask, but it also has kind of a rushed feel to it, like it was something that was slapped together because they wanted to put a sequel out. Some interesting concepts are in it, some really good ideas, but Ocarina is just another level of epic, I think. Don Cherry is the John Madden of hockey. Okay, that's a great comparison. Okay, cool. Just a reminder, back in 2014, you said, I can't imagine TNA surviving into 2015. And it's now 2021, and Impact is getting more notice thanks to AEW. They are the cockroach promotion. They just won't die. The Fandom Menace group, more specifically, they're trash. Probably. Thoughts on JBL as WWE champ? I loved him as champ. I loved JBL as champ. I thought he was great. I thought he was a great heel, great old school heel. And it was a move that was needed to be done because Angle was hurt, Lesnar left, Big Show was hurt. They were kind of left on an island. It's like, all right, let's just go completely outside the box and we're just going to push Bradshaw. And it worked out better because SmackDown at that point had a much better face pool. Like they had Eddie, they had Ray, they had Taker, they had Booker got involved in there at one point. So I think it was actually the better move to make. And then when Angle and Big Show came back, things got better. And then they used JBL to put over John Cena, which that WrestleMania match didn't go over well at all. And I've said before, it's the most anticlimactic match ever. But generally, like JBL did about as well as he could possibly do under the circumstances. And they didn't put the title on him again, which I'm okay with. He had the one run in him, and that was great. So, I like JBL as champ. Happy New Year, Lou the Giant Cookie. Welcome. Thoughts on JBL hitting Cena with a car in 2008? Since when is murder PG? One of my favorite shoot interview lines ever. It was Kurt Hawkins talking about Mark Henry's reaction to that match, and they had just had the speech earlier that day from Vince about going PG. And Mark Henry was like, since when is murder PG? Good stuff. Pat Summerall and John Madden are to football commentary what JR and Lawler were to wrestling commentary. I agree. Like, that was... God, they were so good. Remember Hakushi? I do remember Hakushi. I actually liked him as a kid. The Last Jedi... The thing about The Last Jedi, it had some interesting ideas. Unfortunately, it felt like the movie was designed to just blow up everything that The Force Awakens set up. And it adds... Okay, here's the thing. Disney with Star Wars, they either didn't have a plan, and it really shows when you watch Episode 9, or they had a plan, and Rian Johnson completely blew it up in The Last Jedi. Which, if that's the case, why the hell was he allowed to do that? And why did Disney let him do that? I'll never understand. It does so. Whatever the thing is, I don't know, but I think Last Jedi is going to be remembered as the one that kind of broke everything. Yeah, a lot of people love Majora's Mask. It was never my favorite, but a lot of people love it. Pat Summerall and John Madden greater than Joe Buck and Troy. Well, obviously. I mean, come on. Patrick's YouTube career ended before TNA did. Never would have predicted that one, but it's absolutely true. Thoughts on JR's funny screams when he got set on fire by Kane? I'll have to go and rewatch it later. I don't remember the screams being funny. To be honest, I like Asuka, but I know she don't know that my ass don't exist. I don't want the famous people to know I exist. I just kind of want to be left alone, to be honest with you. I mean, I'll get an autograph from these people, but other than that, like, so y'all just go live your lives. Have you gone to TohoKingdom.com and read all the failed Godzilla movies? I have. I also, for Christmas, all right, be right back. Be right back. You guys are gonna see my entire bookshelf by the time we're done here. So, one of my Christmas presents was I got this 3-volume set of the Big Book of Japanese Giant Monster Movies. This is for the Showa era, 1954 to 1982. This is for what I guess you would call the Heisei era, 1984 to 2014. And then this book, the third volume, it's the Lost Film. So all those films that you were talking about on TohoKingdom.com, I get like an in-depth analysis. Look, the Ultraman Monster Bible. I don't even know what that is. I can't wait to check that out. What else is in here? The Godzilla Revival Meeting of 1978. So there's a lot of stuff in here. So, yeah, I look forward to reading those. Okay, better 2004 world title reign, Guerrero or Benoit? Overall, Benoit. I think Guerrero got stuck in a bad place where he didn't have anybody to work with after WrestleMania, which is why they did the JBL thing. I think Benoit got to work with Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Randy Orton and had a lot more options. Kane, his feud with Kane was really good. Eddie didn't want to be world champion anymore due to putting too much pressure on himself. Oh, yeah, and a lot of SmackDown's problems weren't his fault. And it wasn't. It was just he was stuck in a bad situation. Excellent question, Sean. Oh, my God, that line is hilarious. Fucking hilarious. Yeah, I used to like JBL on commentary quite a bit. Have you ever been into bodybuilding? Not really, no. No. Do you remember when Pat and John were on CBS before Fox? Yes, I do. They were the voices of football. Do you think fans are ultimately to blame for the obsession WWE has with bringing back nostalgia acts like Goldberg? A lot of wrestling fans seem to stubbornly refuse to move on from the past. I think it's more of an indictment of that their writing is so bad they can't get people excited about their current stuff. That's the problem. When was the last time they created something that was legitimately exciting or interesting? I met Kofi at a Kmart back in 2010 and got a figure of him that I bought and autographed. Oh, cool. Ghost Godzilla. Ghost Godzilla was probably my favorite concept for a Godzilla movie that never got made. Have you seen the rough draft of Trevorrow's episode 9 script? I did. And it's much better than what we got. Much better than what we got. I can't believe they didn't make it. Like, it would have made the trilogy worth it. I'll say that. Had they made that version of episode 9 and made it well, it would have made the trilogy worth it. But instead, oh boy. Like, oh boy. See, now it's like, I just kind of want to pretend that 7, 8, and 9 never happened. I was like, nope. I just turned out to be a gigantic waste of time. I just want to pretend that it didn't happen. Thoughts on the Kane lightning bolt segment where he set a cameraman on fire? It was an intense image. I'll give it that. It was a striking visual. Pun intended. Everything was better in the 90s and early 2000s because we were allowed to be, more real and less corporate speak. Match you hate more, Triple H versus Cena at Mania 22 or Lawler versus Cole at Mania 27? Lawler versus Cole at Mania 27. That match was a fiasco, unlike any other. If you could own 3 New York Giants jerseys, which players would they be? Mark Bavaro, probably Otis Anderson, and Eli Manning. Those would be my 3. If I was going to get 3 jerseys tomorrow, those would probably be the ones I would get. John Madden is the only football announcer to work for CBS, Fox, ABC, and NBC. Yeah, he was just that good. Shut up, Maggle. 5 worst movies you saw in theaters. Dr. Dolittle 2. I remember seeing that with the family, and I was just in complete misery the entire time. 5 worst. Batman v Superman has got to be up there. That was a miserable experience. Pacific Rim 2 has got to be up there. And Amazing Spider-Man 2 was pretty bad. That one I almost walked out. And Alice in Wonderland, the Tim Burton version. I fell asleep during that movie. That's the only time. I've only fallen asleep in a theater twice. One was Up the second time I saw it, and it wasn't because it was a bad movie. It was because I was up all night the night before, and I was on a date with my now ex at the time. And I had already seen Up, but I was taking her to see Up, but because I didn't get any sleep the night before, I just crashed in the theater. So it had nothing to do with the movie. And the other time was Alice in Wonderland, the Tim Burton version, because I just thought it was horrifically boring and terrible in so many ways. WWE diehards are the epitome of Stockholm Syndrome. Well, they seem to be dropping off more and more, so who knows. Do you think the DDP rib injury in 97 became a running gag? I mean, you could say it went on too long, but it added a lot to his matches, so I didn't mind it. Most underrated New York Giants players. Mark Bavaro. I think he's probably the best tight end we've ever had. People say Shockey. I disagree. I like Mark Bavaro. We now live in a world where the Star Wars prequels are not the worst. Unfortunately. We can talk about the individual movies. I think as a trilogy, the prequels actually work better as a 3-movie story, which is sad. I never thought I would ever say that, but... I think there was a plan in place for the Star Wars sequels, but Disney became slaves to their fans and bullshitted themselves into the nostalgia fest with 9 instead of going with what they had. But again, I've also seen J.J. Abrams screw this stuff up before, like with Lost, where he does this mystery box shit, and then it's like when it comes time to do the reveal, he fucks it up. Even with Star Trek, you could kind of say that, where it's like, ooh, we cast Benedict Cumberbatch as this mystery villain, and everybody was like, it's Khan. You're doing Khan. No, we know you're doing Khan. And sure enough, it was Khan. So it was just like pointless nostalgia for the sake of it. So I've seen J.J. Abrams fuck that up before. So who knows? Who knows? Either way, it turned into a shitfest. I've heard about the Darth Jar Jar theory. It's kind of funny. It's really funny, actually. One of the worst movies I saw in theater was the 2003 Daredevil movie. That movie left no impression on me. Outside of Jennifer Garner looking hot as Elektra. Like, that movie left no impression on me. Thought that WrestleMania 36 was one of the greatest shows WWE ever produced. That's a sad state of affairs. The WWE wouldn't even say that, I wouldn't think. There's a Dr. Dolittle too. Oh, there was, with Eddie Murphy. And you want poop jokes? You get plenty of poop jokes. Movie fan 123, welcome aboard. Do you think Kane is an underrated mic worker? Kinda. I mean, his best work was when he wasn't talking, but he could talk. I'm surprised you don't have Godzilla 98 up there. That one, I was more shell-shocked by it. Like, I wasn't miserable in the theater. I was more like stunned into silence, is the best way I could describe that. Have you ever had a wet dream? There's no one. I would be very surprised if any male who lived through puberty never had a wet dream. I would be very surprised. So yes, the answer is yes. That's okay. Talk about Last Jedi all you want. Did you snore during Up? No, I don't snore. Oh, you saw Fan 4 Stick? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That looked really bad, and sure enough, it lived up to it. Iron Man 3 was a bad one. I saw that. I remember liking it. That would make it worse. If you had a seizure earlier that day, that would definitely make it worse. How would you rank the Star Wars movies worst to best? Worst to best? Oh, God, worst. I'm only going to do the 9 episodes. So we're taking out Rogue One, Solo, the Ewok movies, the Clone Wars movie, all that. So just the 9, like, Skywalker Saga episodes. I would say the worst is probably Attack of the Clones. Then... No, actually, you know what? I'm going to say Rise of Skywalker is the worst. I changed my mind. Rise of Skywalker is the worst. Then Attack of the Clones. Then, say Phantom Menace. Then either Last Jedi or Force Awakens. They're really interchangeable for me. Um, then which one am I forgetting? I feel like I'm forgetting one. Oh, Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is the best one of the 9 episodes, which I'll let that speak for itself. It's the best one of the 9 episodes. It's the best one after the originals. Again, I will let that assessment speak for itself. And then the top three are obviously, in no particular order: Return of the Jedi, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back. And I go back and forth on which one I like. Empire is my favorite. That's number one. And then number 2 and 3, I go back and forth on which one I like more: New Hope or Return of the Jedi. I think they both have their positives. Oh god, the 2003 Hulk movie? Yeah, that wasn't great. Do you think each Kane theme gets more overly dramatic? It seems that way. Never forget the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I completely forgot that that movie happened. I like the 2008 Hulk film. A lot of people, that's one of the MCU films that people shit on. I liked it. Would you say Mick Foley is the most versatile talker in wrestling history? Yes, I would. X2 was good. I remember X2 being really good. I never saw Sausage Party. I never saw it. Never saw it, so I can't really comment on it, but I never saw it. Yeah, that was kind of what I liked about it, where, like, the media, and this speaks to my hatred of the news media, but they always, like, have, like, a... They give off the impression that if we just kill the top guy, then the problem will go away. And I'm like, well, that's not really how this works, but... Osama bin Laden is a great comparison. You know, yeah, and I think the Mandarin twist, the problem with it is that there was nothing compensating for it. I think if they had come up with a movie that did it better was Winter Soldier, where you've got generic white businessman as the lead bad guy, who we all knew was a bad guy. It's like, all right, that's kind of boring. But then there's this twist midway through where it's like, oh no, he's not really the lead bad guy. Turns out Hydra infiltrated the world and is getting ready to take over the world from under everybody's nose. And I'm like, holy shit, where did that come from? So I think Winter Soldier was the movie that did it better. But yeah, no, I thought Iron Man 3 had some interesting ideas. I just wish they had handled it a little better. 28 Days Later. Yeah, no, that's a really good zombie movie. Yeah, Roman seems good as a heel. I just haven't watched any of it on TV. I thought The Last Jedi was okay, and the dude pissed everybody off. Bigger dream match for you: Goldberg versus Big Van Vader or Undertaker versus Sting, all in their prime? Undertaker versus Sting. Yeah, if we had gotten that match when they were in their prime, that would have been really cool. A lot of people say Revenge of the Sith is the best. I just don't get the best of overall. It's the best of the prequels. I would say that. Who are wrestlers you think could have had an acting career if given a chance? God, that's hard to say. I don't know. CM Punk, maybe? If he had actually gone that route, he probably could have. Top 3 favorite X-Men: Wolverine, Nightcrawler, and Rogue. Those are my 3. Spider-Man 2 versus Dark Knight, which is best? I like Dark Knight more, but both are very good. I really like Spider-Man 2, but Dark Knight, I would lean towards that. Mainly because of Heath Ledger's performance. Do you think a Trish Stratus versus Alexa Bliss feud would be good? Probably. Bliss can talk. I think the problem is, in ring-wise, they're a little too similar. And looks-wise, they're a little too, like, cut from the same cloth, like the Pretty Blonde cloth. But I don't know. Like, it might work. Who knows? 5 wrestling moves you'd never want to take, even if you were paid. The Vertebreaker, I would never want to take that. And the Pepsi Plunge, I would have a hard time, like, agreeing to take that. It's like, you want me to face plant myself from the top rope? No, thank you. Those are the 2 that really come to mind. And anything off a ladder or anything off, like, jumping off of a cage or something, I'm like, that's something for crazy people. I don't want to do that. If you were in a movie, the credit would say Patrick, generic white guy. Of course it would. Like, I'm like the king of generic white guys. Come on. Superman 2 was on TV recently. The one thing I hate about it is when the three bad guys managed to escape their smashed window. Oh, the Phantom Zone. Yeah, they escaped the Phantom Zone. That's what happened there. My biggest problem with Superman 2 is the ending where Superman depowers the bad guys and then brutally murders them. And I was like, that seems callous for Superman. I don't know. Everybody had a problem with the neck snapping in Man of Steel. I didn't. To me, they did it in a way that kind of made sense given the situation. But Superman 2, that was like, holy shit. It's like Superman's a serial killer. What is this? Day of the Dead is very good. Yeah, I love Day of the Dead. I do. I don't know if it's my favorite of the Dead movies, but it's very, very good. CM Punk has made a horror movie. I did not know that. What movie was he in? If I could hire 5 wrestlers to be in a horror movie, I would get like Jake Roberts, Bray Wyatt, Raven, Gangrel, and then some thug. Let's say Kane, who's been in a horror movie, but let's say Kane. And have them play like this backwards, like hillbilly family that murders people. And just let Jake talk the whole time. It'd be great. Batman The Long Halloween or Batman Year One? I like The Long Halloween more. I don't understand why Rogue wasn't Rogue in the movies. Like, she was the most fucked up X-Men in all the movies they've done. They've never gotten her right. Thoughts on CM Punk's ROH theme song? I forget what his theme song was before Cult of Personality, actually. I couldn't tell you what it was. I forgot. 5 moves you would never want to take. Owen Hart's pile driver. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Girl on the 3rd floor. Okay, I might check it out. Thoughts on See No Evil? It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Gangrel had potential. They just didn't do anything with him. No Undertaker in your horror movie? I guess, yeah, Taker would be kind of a good fit. Did you hear of Santa Slay with Goldberg? I've heard of it. I've never seen it. Which would you rather watch live in person? Punk versus Joe in ROH or Brett versus Owen at Mania 10? Brett versus Owen at Mania 10 because it's the opening match to a WrestleMania and it fell on my birthday. So to be there live to see it would have been great. Favorite 2000s Nickelodeon show? Probably Avatar: The Last Airbender. I can't think of anything else that Nickelodeon was doing in the 2000s that I would have... I guess SpongeBob was around at that point. But yeah, Avatar: The Last Airbender would be my pick. One of the reasons the X-Pac Gangrel match at Royal Rumble 99 was crap was the botch pin Teddy Long made. I don't even remember that match, to be honest with you. Did you ever watch a horror or disaster film and wonder how long you'd last? Oh, I know I wouldn't. I would never last long in a horror movie. Come on. Like, if a horror movie happened in real life, I'd be one of the first ones to go. Can you imagine if Owen Hart's pile driver actually did end Steve Austin's wrestling career for good? Oof. Well, I mean, WCW would have won the war, right? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Thoughts on Pulp Fiction? Great movie. One of Tarantino's best. It's not my favorite Tarantino film. That would be Reservoir Dogs, but Pulp Fiction is very good. Halloween Havoc 89 happened the day before you were born. Yeah, we all have those, like, weird, like, birthday association pay-per-views. Mine are WrestleMania 10 and Uncensored 95, but... yeah, it's always kind of cool when you can kind of get like a wrestling pay-per-view that's close to your birthday and can kind of be special to you for that reason. Thoughts on Gangrel getting fired for his shirt getting unbuttoned during a match? I've never heard that story before. That's a new one. I've never heard that. Thoughts on the Kings of Wrestling, Cesaro and Cassius Ohno? Chris Hero back in the day. They were one of the best tag teams around for a while on the indie scene. They were great. Fantastic tag team. It's a shame that we never got any version of them in the WWE, but them's the breaks. Favorite comedian? My favorite stand-up comic of all time is probably George Carlin. I love that guy. Mel Brooks made some of my favorite comedic films, so I'd throw him up there too. Were you ever into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? Of course I was. It was like a Godzilla movie every day. It was like, I loved it. When it first came around, oh boy, it was like, that was my jam, baby. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I also had the biggest crush on the Pink Ranger, which also helped. What are your favorite fourth wall moments in TV history? Oh. I don't know. Like in movies, I can name a couple. Like Blazing Saddles. The end of that is probably the greatest fourth wall break of all time, where they literally broke the fourth wall. But TV, Simpsons and South Park and clever shows like that have made some really good, like, self-referential humor that kind of breaks the fourth wall. So that's pretty good. Ejaculate. Well, there's a word I didn't expect to say today. Kenny Omega won the IWGP title on my birthday, which was cool. That's pretty awesome. WrestleMania 20 came one day after my birthday. Cool, cool. Dream promo battle. Scott Steiner, Iron Sheik, Macho Man, and Ultimate Warrior. Oh, Jesus Christ. The world would explode. What did you think of the original Evil Doink the Clown? I thought it was a great gimmick. I thought it was great. I agree with what you say there. He and Undertaker could have had a feud. It just unfortunately didn't happen. My birthday is Harry Potter Day. Oddly, I didn't know that until recently. What is Harry Potter Day? Is that like a significant date in the books? Like when Harry's parents were killed or something? Or is it like Harry's birthday? Or like what is Harry Potter Day? I don't even know what it is. Favorite Midnight Express matches are the Southern Boys at Great American Bash 1990 and the original Midnight versus and the one of the ones with the Fantastics. Yeah, the Midnight Express were a great tag team. Overall thoughts on the Ruthless Aggression era? It was in some ways it was a major downturn for the company because Austin was gone, Rock was gone, numbers were going down, ratings went down, but they had a lot of solid talents to help carry them through the storm. So, some really good stuff happened, some really bad stuff happened because they were still kind of living in the shadow of the Attitude Era, but, you know. Did you ever have a desire to direct a movie? Absolutely not. Never. The Fantastics is a bad name for a tag team. I agree. My birthday was on the same day as the segment on Raw where Kane was revealed as the father of Lita's baby. That's an interesting one. Never mind that shit. Here comes Mongo. Hulk Hogan and Gremlins 2. That was a good one. That was a good one. Dream Super Bowl. 85 Bears versus 72 Dolphins. Who would win? The Bears' defense was so good, I don't think anybody could have stopped them. So I'd say 85 Bears in that scenario. What was your first bad film? I saw Tom and Jerry the movie when I was really young. And I was like, why are they talking? This is stupid. And that was the first time I saw what I would consider. I watched a movie and knew it was bad. That's cool. March 1st. Yeah, another March baby. I bought a spinner title. I'm sorry. Why would you do that to yourself? I bought a spinner. Yeah. Okay. July 31st is J.K. Rowling's birthday in real life, so she made Harry Potter's birthday the same day. Okay. I didn't know. I'd never heard of Harry Potter Day, but I imagine it's got to be like an important date from the books or something. Oh, the feud with the $1 Million Corporate. You didn't like Supreme Fighting Machine Kama? You didn't like that? My birthday had that awful Roman Braun Hell in a Cell match in 2018. I have no memory of that. Oh, is that the one that Brock broke up? Yeah, that stupid one. Yeah. Yeah, the Tom and Jerry movie, which wasn't really a Tom and Jerry movie. That's funny. Kogan, that's a funny coincidence. Mason Ryan is the GOAT. Oh yeah, Mason Ryan. Indeed. Imagine a match between Ultimate Warrior and Steve Mongo McMichael. I don't want to. That's the stuff that nightmares are made out of. Is Harry Potter Day on the same day as Miro Day? Probably. Probably. Okay, guys, we are going to give this, I just hit 3 hours and 20 minutes. We're going to give this 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes, and then I'm signing off here for good. So, any more questions before I log off here? If you had to, who would you rather work with, Vince Russo or Vince McMahon? Oh, God. Vince Russo, because I'd like to think I could rein him in. Vince McMahon, he'd drive me insane. There's no way I could work for him. Even if we agreed on stuff. We watched Tom and Jerry to see Tom die. Yes. Yes, indeed. Actually, I hated Jerry. I wanted Tom to win every single time. The Taker Kama casket match is actually on Taker's Deadliest Matches DVD. It was a good match, if I recall. Would you stick by your worst years in Raw history or add some recent years? Oh, God, some of the recent years have gotten pretty bad, so I'd probably amend that. But I stick by the selections I made when I made them. Since then, Raw's gotten pretty bad, so... Will your Twitter still be up? It is down now. I've already deactivated it. The Twitter is down. Big Noob Entertainment, I love you. Thank you, buddy. Are you going to super kick me now? I'm sorry. I love you. Boom! Right in the face. If you were athletic enough, what position would you want to play in football? Oh... Probably something on defense, like a linebacker or something. Because I've always loved defensive football. Holy shit, dude. I saw the trailer for this Tom and Jerry live action movie coming up, and it looks like something Satan made as a torture device. I feel like looking at that movie, it's probably going to have like 15 to 20 minutes of really good Tom and Jerry gags in it that's spread out with all these annoying human actors that don't need to be there. If they wanted to be really clever, they would have filmed all the humans from like the knees down, like in the old cartoons. And just filmed it that way, and just let Tom and Jerry run around in the real world. I think that would have been really clever, but no, we got to have actors in there, and I think it's going to be really annoying. Well, since this is your last video, how about I tell you what the appeal of Snoop Dogg is? Oh, please answer for me. Thoughts on the Invasion pay-per-view? The ultimate signifier to me that the Invasion wasn't going to work. When that ended with Steve Austin joining Team WCW, I was like, this ain't going to work. It's not going to work. And I turned out to be right. When are you coming back for your nostalgia run and Hall of Fame induction? I don't know. When Vince pays me. Jim Cornette or Vince Russo? I would take Jim Cornette, even though he's an annoying pain in the ass. He at least has like a basic wrestling structure mindset. And his stuff like makes sense. Even though he is outdated and old-fashioned as hell. He would be more tolerable to deal with, I think. Did you ever see that episode of Tom and Jerry where Blue Cat Blues where Tom and Jerry commit suicide? I did. The one where they sit on the train tracks? Yeah, I've seen that one. Can't do that today. God, he had casket matches with King Mabel. I remember the one with King Mabel, the one with Heidenreich. That was the Royal Rumble, right? Yeah, the Randy and Bob one, that was pretty good. 2007 Patriots versus the 85 Bears. That would be an interesting one because that, God, it's tough to say. I don't know. I'd probably lean towards the 2007 Patriots, to be honest with you, because I think they were a more complete team. What games do you play on the PS4? Well, I've played the Transformers game, Devastation. I've played the Spider-Man game. I've played... I also downloaded King of the Monsters, which is a monster fighting game that was in the arcades when I was a kid. And I've downloaded the original game and the sequels, and I downloaded the Disney Afternoon pack. I don't play a lot of games on PS4 because I predominantly use it for media, like watching Netflix, Hulu, TV, all that other stuff. So, thoughts on the Jeff Hardy, Kurt Angle, Mr. Anderson match in Bound for Glory 2010? I remember the match being okay. It was just the ending with the reveal of who they was that kind of turned everything into a mess. Best pay-per-views of the big four. So like best Royal Rumble, best WrestleMania, best SummerSlam, best Survivor Series. Is that what you mean? Most of Snoop Dogg's appeal comes from his voice. He's not a great rapper or a poetic lyricist, but his voice just draws you in like Slick in WWF. It's fair. I'm going to miss you, buddy. Hope you take care of yourself, and I will continue to follow Warriors of Wrestling. Thank you, AJ. I appreciate that. In all seriousness, thank you for the years of videos and interaction. I wish you well in whatever you go from here. Thank you, Jedi Alex. That's wonderful and kind of you to say it. Thank you. I look forward to your next live stream whenever it will be. I always have a blast chatting with you. Thank you, Clark. Kogan, I want to thank you for the entertainment over the years, Patrick. I always loved hearing your thoughts on stuff. Thank you, Kogan. I learned the idea for wearing sunglasses for a friend's YouTube channel. Honestly, I envy how you're so calm for your videos. Thank you, Matt. Why get so upset, Thank you, Mr. Gov. Yeah, you're a long-time viewer, too. You've been around a long time. So, yeah, thank you for all the support you've given me over the years. Girls and cars. I like Instant Classic better. That just sounds less cheesy. Too sweet. We can do that over the camera. You can do that. Thank you, B Slim. I appreciate it. Thank you, Big Noob. Love you, too. And you all take care as well and enjoy your 2021. Which Jericho Benoit matches do you love the most? My favorite one was their ladder match at Royal Rumble 2001, but they also had some really good ones in 2000. I remember they had a really good one at SummerSlam, if I recall. Yeah, they did. Jericho and Benoit worked well together. Okay, so best Royal Rumble. My favorite Royal Rumble event. God, I really liked 2000. For the Cactus Triple H match, the Tables match, and a pretty good Royal Rumble match. That was a good one. Taz's debut was really cool. So I'd probably say Royal Rumble 2000 is my favorite. Also, it was in New York, and that just had a different and fun atmosphere to it. Favorite WrestleMania? It's either 7, 14... Well, my top 5 have always been 7, 10, 14... 17 and 19 for various different reasons. Those are the ones I always praise. I guess I'll say 7 because that's the one that makes me unique because nobody says 7. But favorite SummerSlam, I'm going to go with 91 because that was the first pay-per-view I ever saw live and I have a special attachment to it. And Survivor Series, my favorite one would probably be 87, which was the original inaugural event. I really love that show. Thank you, John Tuddy. Thank you for the support. This is the saddest retirement ever. Oh, it can't possibly be true, but thank you anyway. I'm not going to miss you at all. Joking, of course. I appreciate you, FT. I love how you've always busted my balls. You're a delight. Favorite Royal Rumble is 98. Favorite WrestleMania is X7. What was your favorite series? What was your favorite series on the channel you recorded? Oh... I guess the Saturday Night's Main Events Clash of Champions. I really enjoyed doing those. That was a blast. Favorite King of the Ring is 2001. Favorite SummerSlam is 2002. Favorite Survivor Series is 2002. Not Survivor Series 91. No. Survivor Series 91 didn't make the cut. That one didn't make the cut. Sorry. For that show was killed maliciously. Can't wait for your Ric Flair style TNA. For your Ric Flair TNA style return. Oh, you mean I'm going to be wrinkled and kind of bloated and I'll bleed everywhere I go? Maybe. Might be something worth doing. I just come onto the channel one day and I've got blood all over me and I'm wrinkled and my hair is all thinned out and I just look like crap. Yeah. That's a thing that could happen. All right, anything else, guys? After all the memories you gave us, what's your thoughts on Triple H versus John Cena at WrestleMania 22? Fuck that match. I hate that match. Ed should have gotten that spot. I will say that until the day I die. What went right? Your channel. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, Jeff Hardy was never one of my favorites, but he has a charisma to him. I'm not going to say that that's not true. He had his moments. He was just never like one of my ultimate favorites like he was for a lot of other people. So, with all of that said, I think that now is a good time to close up shop here and move on and mosey on out of here. So, once again, thank you everybody to all the years of support. Thank you for making this live stream fun. Hopefully, YouTube doesn't bone me on this one. They shouldn't, because I didn't have any material that's not mine. Yeah, thank you for all the years of support and all the kind comments and anybody who constantly comes onto my live streams and asks questions and participates and all that. It's been a blast. I've enjoyed doing it. But as in line with my New Year's resolution, I'm going to take time away from the internet to go improve myself and to take on some more action outside-driven hobbies. I was telling somebody the other day, it's like, dude, I want to go in the woods and like chop down trees and shit and make firewood and do something with my hands. You know what I mean? But yeah, thank you to everybody that participated in this stream and all the other streams I've done, and for all the kind words and support I've gotten over the years in doing my videos. It's been a blast doing it, and at the end of the day, I know I wasn't the biggest YouTuber, I wasn't like a significantly successful YouTuber, but I like to pride myself on saying that I did everything my way, and that was my goal with this channel from the start. I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, whether it gets me views or not, whether it makes me money or not. That was never the goal. The goal was to just say what I wanted to say and interact with people who wanted to hear what I had to say and have conversations with me, and I think I accomplished that. So, with that said, thanks again, everybody. Check out the description if you want my Switch friend code and my PS4 ID. You can reach me on those avenues, but for now, Twitter's all closed up. And we're getting ready to close up shop here as well. So this is goodbye, and I will see you all down the road somewhere, sometime later.